Ako di ay si 𝗕𝗂𝗰𝗍𝗔 Sipayo. Ako ang 4th generation son ni Tatay Leon Quilat. Base sa obserbasyon, ang mga kabatununan din sa Bakong, nakaila sila ni Tatay Leon Quilat. Apan maobserbaran po nako nga igo lang sila nakaibalo sa ngalan o wa po sila kaibalo sa story nga dito di ay sa Karkar nawala ang iyang kinabuhi, dito di sa Cebu siya nakipagbatok para sa ato ang nasod. So mas maayog na ay symposium ba or di ba ka teatro, murag tagaan bag kinabuhi ang pakigubat ni Tatay Leon Quilat sa una. Kinahanglan ra gyud nga maedukar gyapon ang makabatanunan kung unsa may kaagi sa una para aduna sila'y pundasyon sa ilang kinabuhi nga mao day ni ang ato ang ruta.
Paminawa, kaning litanya, kabahining bisda kong paghigugma. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 kasing-kasing kiat, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 aptik pa ni Leon Quilat. Pagpanggao gay paspuso sa larsyan, muhumok igbahog sabaw sa linarang. Humukog ilong tanalaag tas kulon, at tuon tadapit nga makasaysayon. Lapik sa dila o grutya sa pulong, dugan mo siguradong makumong-kumong. Hugot pasuot, hugot pasuot, hugot pasuot.
Bahalag saging basta labing, bahalag buwan basta tupad, bahalag toyo basta video, bahalag inamos basta langgakol, bahalag hilaw basta ikaw, bahalag orni basta permi, bahalag lanay basta tanday, bahalag dukot basta lang hugot. Hugot pasuot, hugot pasuot, kasing-kasing kapuno sa kahimuon. Huot pasuot, huot pasuot, ikaw akong forever, wala'y magbuot. Hugot pasuot, hugot pasuot, bisag ipatpad man sa tumang kalimot. Huot pasuot, huot pasuot, sa dalan kulon kita mag-abot. Bahalag piit basta sikit, bahalag magumos basta lang timos, bahalag muluong basta muhaom, bahalag di makaya basta kita.
Hindi ka biyaan, tuura jud na ako. Mura General Maxilong ni ikon mo plano, para ni mo makipatay ko pareho sa Cebuanong katipunerong si Alejo. Maglisod ko kaon kung di tadungan ang imong istorya, murag musika sa dungan. Bisag kinsa nga babae, di ka ilisan kaya nga akong gugma, solid pa sa katipunan.
Hugot pasuot, hugot pasuot, kasing-kasing kapuno sa kahimuon. Huot pasuot, huot pasuot, ikaw akong forever, wala'y magbuot. Hugot pasuot, hugot pasuot, bisag ipatpad man sa tumang kalimot. Huot pasuot, huot pasuot, sa dalan kulon kita mag-abot. Sa dalan kulon kita mag-abot. Sa dalan kulon bayang sabot.
PAMGRAS, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, in partnership with the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, the National Quincentennial Committee, the University of Cebu, University of Cebu Arts and Design, University of Cebu Lab Teatro, Badian National High School, Museo Sugbo, Bisdak Pride, the Central Visayas Association of Museums, Art Cebu, SOAN 2020, and Badian National High School and the Andy Heritage Center present to you today a celebration of theater and the 500 years of stories and performances in the Visayas, Dayag. To start, we request everyone on site to please stand to celebrate the National Flag Day. We sing the Philippine National Anthem to be led by the Hønquera Street Children's Choir.
We Cebuanos aspire to be worthy in following the path taken by our heroes in their fearless fight for a land whose sun and stars forever shine for justice, whose loving embrace is everyone's paradise. We strive to become a people who love our motherland in our every breath and with every drop of our blood, sweat, and tears.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alab ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, nguyang ka ng magiting, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisikin, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit kung baga, may ilak ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang islap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagnilingling, ang bituin na taraw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng lalaki pagsinta, may langit sa pingo. Aming ligaya na pagkay makahapit, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Please be seated. Daghang salamat to the Hønquera Street Children's Choir for that beautiful performance of the Philippine National Anthem. Of course, today we celebrate the National Flag Day, and also starting today until June 12, the Independence Day. And also today is a very important day because we are also today in Cebu history because the Flag Day is celebrated today because on May 28, 1898, it was the celebration of the victory of the Battle of Alapan, and that's in Luzon. But here in Cebu, here in Cebu on May 28, 1898, do you know what battle happened? Did you read today in Cebu history at PAMGRAS page? So today, that's 124 years ago today, the Battle of Bitlanghil happened. So the Battle of Bitlang, and that's in Sudlon. It is where the Cebu Manggugubot, led by Luis Flores, Arcadio Maxilom, and the Tabal brothers, they led the battle to repel the Spanish forces who tried to go up the headquarters of the Cebu Katipunan or the Cebu Manggugubot that was in Sudlon. So they defeated the attempt of the Spanish forces to penetrate the headquarters of the Cebu Katipunan on May 28, 1898. And of course, on this day also, in Imus, Cavite, the Philippine flag was flown. So we thank everyone for joining us, those online, and also we thank those on site. Thank you for joining us in this very important day today. And also, we have also this event, Dayag. We would trace and we would travel back to 500 years ago. We would listen and watch the stories told to us through time by performances and stories. So we thank those online who have been with us since 3 p.m. I would mention your names in a while. So especially Ferdy Particio, he was with us here at PAMGRAS. He is the supervisor of the DepEd Taguig and Pateros district supervisor. And also we have Daniel Nino Paklihan. Thank you for joining us again. We have Dana. We have Jonathan Teresita from the division of Tapat, and also Ellen, our tour guide, our Suki tour guide. Let us raise the flag. Happy National Flag Day, Kabayan. And we also have Rosel and Aida, Lenny, Malu, Angela, Rebecca, Bricks, all from SDO Tapat. Thank you for joining us again today. And also, we would like to thank our partners for our celebration today. So we have the National Historical Commission, the NQC, UC Arts Lab and Design. Thank you to Mr. Rudy Aviles for the partnership. University of Cebu Lab Chatro, Badyan National High School. And we ask all those online joining us to put your school or the place where you are from so that we can recognize you. And you can also put at the comment section hashtag Dayag or hashtag 500 years of stories. And also, we thank our partner, Museum Sugbo, Bisdek Pride, Central Visayas Association of Museums, SOAN 2020, Art Cebu, Diandi Heritage Center, and Badyan National High School. And you would be seeing this broadcast at the pages of our partners. So we are celebrating this month also. May is the National Heritage Month. We celebrate our roots, our past. We by celebrating this, we know more about our past, our heritage, our history, and so we are able to love our identity as Cebuanos, as Filipinos. And of course, because of this love of of what our heroes did, what our ancestors did, we are looking forward to a future where the young people who are aware and of their roots, who are proud of their identity, to also be a good, better leaders and great leaders of our country because they imbibe the values of our heroes of selflessness, bravery, and determination, courage, and always thinking first of what the people need instead of what are the needs of self. So, so of course, they say that you are able to love others if you also love yourself. So when we love ourselves because we know our identity, so we would be able to also plan well about our future, not just of ourselves, but for the whole community. So, daghang salamat. Do you have the names of our on-site audience so that we can recognize them? So, we thank those on-site. Why do we have more, only less women in our audience? so, we are also we are recognizing our participants online. So we have also uh, from Ken. We have Ken from Talisay City, Ken Xiao, JJ, Francine, uh, Janep, and also Maria Ligaya. So Ellen is from Flag Incorporated. Janica is from SDO Tapat. So we would also like to recognize our participants who registered online, who said that they came from these institutions. We have someone from Ateneo de Davao University. We have from UP Diliman watching us online. We have from Cebu Normal University, Cebu Technological University, UP Alumni Association, Negros Oriental State University, Bayawan, Santa Catalina campus. We have from, of course, from the Division of Taguig City and Pateros, and we have from the International Peace Bureau, from the DepEd Davao City, DYMR Radio Pilipinas Cebu. Thank you very much for registering online, and we also would like to greet everyone who has not registered and who has not yet commented at our comment section. So this is this event actually, Dayag, 500 years of stories and performances in the Visayas was first planned to be broadcast last December 16, 2020, but because Typhoon Odette happened on December 16. Was the typhoon on December 16? Was it on that day? So ahead of the supposedly the broadcast. This should have been, I think this was scheduled on December 18 for the celebration on December 16, because on December 16, 1895, the first play at the first physical theater in Cebu was shown at 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 the first theater of Cebu, 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃. So this is the depiction of an artist from UP Cebu, a fine art student of UP Cebu, who depicted through a digital art the 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃. So that's now Oriente. So at that part, or just at the part of the colonnade area, so that's where 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃. It was about the whole corner block at that time. It was a big theater, not like right now that Oriente Theater is just a small part of the corner of that street. So 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃 was built by the community of Cebu, by the Cebu residents in 1890s, because there was no physical theater in Cebu at that time. So it was led by the governor of Cebu, Governor Inocencio Jonquera. And we would be showing you a video about that in a while. And also would like to we would like to greet, or to recognize our participants for our impromptu acting contest this afternoon. So we have 10 who registered. We don't know if everyone is here. So who are here? So we have 4 contestants. So we have Francis Dwayne Branswela, who came here first. Do we have Francis Matahom? Yes, Francis Matahom is here. Ulysses Dayanan, is he here? No, Sandy. Cheryl Sarmiento, not here. Ronel, Diom Nino Manayon. So Diom Nino Manayon is here. We have Reinhardt Alquizola. So Reinhardt is here. Yulia Trosio, not here. Ira Camille Bagnol, not here. So we have mostly male participants in our impromptu acting contest. So thank you for joining us, and so stay tuned for their performances, for their exciting and fun performance of our of course it's about our current events and history. so so we would be telling you what you will act out 2 minutes or a few minutes before you will do it. So you will be actually be paired, and then you would be discussing among yourselves who will be. We would be drawing lots on who would be acting first. So would we do it later, or would we do it now? So later. So so our judge also for our impromptu acting contest, she is also a veteran theater a theater veteran. She has been a theater artist for almost 4 decades, 40 years, huh? So and then she is based in Cebu, and she has been one of the prime movers of cultural work in the Visayas region, and she is now a theater arts consultant and a young artist mentor of the performing art and Performing Arts faculty in the Mandaue City School for the Arts since 2007. She is a social development worker and artist, a community educator, and she is an advocate for children's rights and women's rights. And she is a legend of the theater in Cebu. Please help me welcome Nenita Pasilan. So we have Ninita here. So it's okay. Thank you, Nene, for being here. So now we would like to we would now like to invite you, everyone, those who are online and online, that you can actually during our discussion, we request you to already give your comments and questions because we would be giving these. So our format is a panel discussion. So we would be giving your questions and your comments to our panelists as we go along. So now we would like to give you our panelists. Do we have already the names of our on-site participants? We would also like to say hi to Tina Orlanes watching from Carcar City, Yesha from Jose Cardone School, Tiffany, Leah, and we have also Jenelu, Princess, and we have Libra, we have Shen Lavarias, Jose Pakirigan Binaraw. Thank you for being with us. So we have on site, we have, aside from those on-site participants of the impromptu acting contest, we have Jogracias Olayon, and we have Sydney. Kathleen? Where is Sydney? Sydney. Are you joining the impromptu acting contest? No, you are just supporting your friends. So Heart Alquisola, so from Cebu Normal University. We have Diom Nino is from Seed for Com, and we have Kulturang Sugbuanon. And Angelo, where is Angelo? And Nathan? Yes. Daghang salamat for being with us. And also, now we would like to introduce to you our panelists. So our panelists are theater veterans in the Visayas. So they are internationally acclaimed theater artists and directors. And first, we would like to introduce to you and our panelists from Bacolod, from the West Visayas. He was awarded as an outstanding Negrosanon in arts and culture in 2019. He was a former executive committee member of the National Committee on Dramatic Arts of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. And he was also um, um, uh, he is currently the Performing Arts Director of the Colegio San Agustin, Bacolod City, and consultant on tourism, arts, and culture of his hometown Murcia in Negros or Occidental. So it is our pleasure to introduce to you our panelist who is with us for the first time at the PAMGRAS event. Also a legend on theater in theater arts in Western Visayas. Please help me welcome Rudy Riveche.
Mayong hapon sa tanan. Salamat gid for the invitation.
Daghang salamat, Rudy. So, of course, we are so thankful that Rudy is able to join us live right now. Even if he is so busy, he was so stressed the other day. He has lots of commitments. He went to Manila. And are you back in Bacolod, Rudy?
Yes, on the same day. I went in the morning and came back in the afternoon yesterday. Thanks
Yes.
God I made it.
Thank you, Rudy. So now, next, we would like to introduce our next panelist. He is a member of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts Committee on Music, and he is a composer of a famous a composer of Visayan songs. He is also a film scorer, and he is currently elected elected as a councillor in a town in Samar. It is our pleasure to have with us once again for the second time at a Palmgrass Heritage event, Lucien Letaba.
Hi, maayong hapon, good afternoon, o pa'y nga kulop pa'y nga tanan sa inyong tanan. May honor now to be here with you this afternoon aron makashare ko sa mga hisgutan bahin sa theater aning program.
Daghang salamat, Lucien. So, Lucien is with us in a recorded presentation this afternoon because he's elected as a councillor. So, he has lots of commitment today. So, of course, our third panelist is also a theater luminary in the Visayas. He is the director of the famous Dagon sa Huyuhoy theater and a play and stage play, and he is the founding director of the Kasing Sining 𝗥𝗲𝗄𝗏, and he is one of the prime movers of the famous Lubok Children's Choir. And we are so happy. We are so happy that he is with us live today. Please help me welcome 𝗟𝗂𝗀𝗏𝗏.
Hello. Thank you, Ms. Agripina and your staff. I'm very delighted to be part of this sharing of drama sa Maadyong Palis.
Maadyong hapon, maadyong palis, Gardy. So, daghang salamat for being with us, and we are excited to hear the sharing of these theater veterans and the stories that the theater told us through the years, and then what even before the Spaniards came, or even the Spaniards came during the Spanish time, and how can theater and cultural work be a tool in promoting awareness on history and about our roots and about our past, and to guide us in our to navigate for us in navigating our future, in planning for a better future for all of us. So we would like to share with you this video about because we are inspired. So of course, Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, is located along 𝗥𝗂𝗃 Street. In Cebu, when you hear the word 𝗥𝗂𝗃, what usually comes into your mind? In the past, for the past years, 𝗥𝗂𝗃 has been associated with prostitution, drugs, and anything bad. so Palmgrass is located along 𝗥𝗂𝗃 Street. When we tried to research about who 𝗥𝗂𝗃 was, we found out that he was the governor of Cebu who built the first theater of Cebu. And later, there was a time that he also worked with Cebuanos and who later became part of the Kagubot sa Sugbo sa 1898. So we would like to show you this video about the story of the 𝗥𝗂𝗃 Street. So this is the video.
Red light district. It's a term used to describe a place offering various night entertainment like brothels, beer houses, karaokes. According to popular folk stories, it originated from red lanterns that railroad men left outside saloons, bars, or brothels near the train station as they took some time off. Now, how General 𝗥𝗂𝗃 Street in Cebu City became known as a red light district can also be traced from the establishment of the railroad station in that neighborhood in the early 1900s.
The streets around Camagayan So 𝗥𝗂𝗃𝗃, Colon, 𝗥𝗂𝗃𝗃 or North America, and Imus or Fidel Rosario. This section became a red light district, I think, with the beginnings of the train station. The Philippine Railway Company, when it was established in Cebu, 1907, going to Danao and going to Argao.
Major General William H. Arnold mastered the drive on Cebu City, second largest in the Philippines.
When the Americans and the Japanese came before and during World War II, they also set up camps in the neighborhood. So as businesses surrounding the train station and military camps catered to travelers, businessmen, workers, and soldiers, it easily gave rise to brothels and other entertainment houses.
Kay uban di ka kitag trabaho or tapulan ng itag trabaho or gipugos into the kung kay sindikato naman na even during the American period na may mga nagkontrola ng mga brothels kaniadto. In fact, if you go to World War II, Japanese occupation, it is suspected that there were many comfort women around Camagayan padung sa Arlandon. In fact, doon ay sa kahapon nga tag-iya o brothel sa corner man kuno sa Arlandon o 𝗥𝗂𝗃𝗃, which who provided young girls as comfort women to Japanese soldiers.
This image of a bustling nightlife sticking in people's minds eventually buried the memory of the person 𝗥𝗂𝗃 Street was named after. Nobody anymore remembers who Gobernador Inocencio 𝗥𝗂𝗃 was. 𝗥𝗂𝗃 became the civil and political governor of Cebu from 1893 to 1896, at a time when the liberals and conservatives struggled within the Spanish political theater. To put it simply, there was a conflict between 𝗥𝗂𝗃 the liberal against the conservative Catholic Church.
Characteristic of kind of the Spanish liberals at that time was kind of getting kind of local participation. Kind of the big theme was like the battle over representation, for instance, in the Spanish Cortes, that Filipinos should be represented in the Spanish Congress in the peninsula. So there was, when 𝗥𝗂𝗃 was governor, of course it was a time when kind of liberalism had become ascendant even among Spaniards themselves. So the Catholic Church felt besieged or under threat by all these liberal secularizing tendencies in the colony. So
different forms of art like literature, songs, paintings, and theater were already used by Philippine anti-conservative and anti-Spanish revolutionaries in fostering a culture that emboldened the people to collectively fight a common enemy.
But at the earlier time, of course, the most vocal and active exponent of kind of liberal ideas of participation in government, individual freedom, were kind of the most educated and, in a sense, most economically empowered elements in local society, which would mean Creoles, Spanish mestizos, Chinese mestizos, and only to a very limited extent Indios or natives.
Part of these groups that became active in the fight to expel the ruling forces in Cebu includes Spanish mestizo Isidro Gabilondo. A major meeting among revolutionary leaders was held in the Gabilondo House before the April 3, 1898 uprising. The Gabilondo family that owns Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, continues the tradition of supporting the arts that called for freedom of the people to enjoy a prosperous life.
𝗥𝗂𝗃 played a key role, but it was really more like a collective effort of the local elite. In large part, they benefited from the support and patronage of 𝗥𝗂𝗃, who probably provided material assistance. But I think by and large, this was really like a community effort.
This tradition of empowering the community and promoting the local heritage of music and theater has become the driving force behind Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, to resurrect Teatro Junquera and to gather together key institutions to bring back the honor of what Junquera Street truly represented.
Nagsugod lang ta sa ginagmay, karon 5 na ta ka barangay na involved niini. Unya dili lang kay barangay. Naghinay-hinay na usab og pangapil ang mga universidad dinhi sa Sugbo. Nga doon na say panglantaw ba nga mapreserbar ang atong mga kabilin, no?
So in early 2019, we with the other stakeholders assembled kids from the barangays of Camagayan, San Antonio, Cogon Ramos, Caloobihan, and Santa Cruz, on which Junquera Street traverses, to organize a community theater called Bagong Teatro Junquera. Since then, we have already staged a play billed 𝗪𝗂𝗃𝗄𝗆 in memory of the exploits of Cebu revolutionary leader Leon Quilat.
The story is about two kids, Mabel and Lino, who are transported to 1898 to meet Leon Quilat and take part in the 1898 revolution, the 𝒏𝒏 revolution specifically. So we bring the present to the past and bringing the past to the present, because right now we have this gap. The people, especially the kids today, don't know about Leon Quilat, the Katipuneros, our shared history, because it's not taught in school.
Young people are always at the center of our efforts to impart our history and heritage. We always believe that the more our youth becomes interlocked with the world through technology and innovations, the more we need to give them a cultural anchor as a source of pride of their identity.
Well, this is a long overdue project on that. As an educator, I believe somebody should be doing this one. And
ang makuha sa atong mga estudyante mao ang pagkat-on sa nanghitabo kaniadto, unya mahimong basihan sa ilang pagpauswag karon og sa unahan.
We are amazed and inspired to see the very warm response of our partners in this endeavor to rebrand Junquera Street and to develop the talents of our youth. The University of San Jose Recoletos, University of the Visayas, University of San Carlos, and barangays Camagayan, San Antonio, Cogon Ramos, Santa Cruz, and Caloobihan.
Applause for that. So daghang salamat for that video. It is also the story of Junquera Street and also of our efforts in forming the Bagong Teatro Junquera. And of course, you would be able to see the songs in that play, 𝗪𝗃𝗄𝗃𝗃𝗃. So we have this 𝗪𝗃𝗄𝗃𝗃𝗃 album. So we have songs mostly composed by Agripina. I mean, not written. But the music were composed. The music of the songs in this album are composed by young musicians in Cebu. So the 𝗪𝗃𝗄𝗃𝗃𝗃 play was performed twice in 2019. So it was not staged last 2020 because of the pandemic. So we are still going to put up again another show in the future. So thank you very much for that video by Prospero Lapot of the Social Communications Asia. And also, if you want to learn more about Inocencio Junquera, you would be able to read about him also in this book by Michael Colonnane, Arenas of Conspiracy and Rebellion, in the late 19th century Philippines. So we would now like to converse with our panelists. We would like you to know that in this book by about the Dulaang Cebuano, with an introduction by Dr. Risil Mojares, he mentioned that the first performance recorded in our islands, the first yes, theatrical performance was that babaylan ritual that the women dance when Pigafetta and Magellan saw when they came here in Cebu in 1521. So there was this description of Pigafetta of what the women, the babaylanes, or the two women spiritual leaders were doing. So they were dancing, they were looking up the sky before they killed a pig. A pig cannot be eaten without the ritual done by women. So you cannot eat pork without this ritual done by women. So it was like a theater for performance. It was a dance, and they were acting like they were offering something to the sky, and then they were sprinkling wine, and they were offering food. So before we would show that a sample of the Bagong Chatro Hongkera's version of that Babaylan ritual, we would now like to ask our panelists from Bohol. We have a theater artist and director, Gardi Lutgardo Labad. We would like to ask him. Is he now around? Because
Hello.
in a that's
Hello.
why you hear
Can
Mayong
you hear
hapon.
me?
Yes, we can hear you, and we can
Maayong
also hear the
hapon.
choir. We can also hear the choir.
Okay, because I'm near a,
Yes,
no, I'm in a convent in Luwai. So this convent is they're having a mass in the church of Luwai, the place where the
yes,
bridge collapsed, if you remember weeks ago. Okay.
yes.
So I
So
hope that is
Luwai
so
also has a
disturbing.
stone
Okay.
church. Luwai has a stone church, right?
Yes,
Does it have? Yes.
yes, yes.
So Gardi, we would now like to ask you regarding, so actually we are asking the questions for Gardi first because he has another workshop in an hour. So if you have questions for Gardi while he is
Sorry.
discussing, please already give it or put it at the comment section so that we can give the question to him. So we would like to ask Gardi regarding to describe the remnants of the pre-colonial Babaylan rituals in Bohol.
Okay. All right. Uh, I hope our tech is ready to show my PowerPoint. But before that, I'd like to tell you that because of the colonial period, many of our rituals from the pre-colonial times have vanished, especially in many islands of the Visayas. No? Wala kang makita na. I hope I can speak in Tagalog too, no? And especially in Central Visayas, no? Or basta in the archipelago in the Visayas, ang laking nawala, no? Especially from the time that Tamblot and all the other local shamans at the time, the warrior priests, no, began to revolt, and they were all vanquished, and our colonial rulers started to burn the books, to burn all the anything from our pre-colonial um, uh, animistic society. Okay? But hindi mo ito totally mawawala sapagkat andyan dyan yung layers and layers of belief about the ecosystem natin. And you can see some of these rituals still sa mga tinatawag nating mga mananambal or ating mga ano ba mga hilot, no? And I'd like to show to you a major research of Cebuano, Dr. Ulysses Aparece from Inabanga, Bohol. He's now a vice president of University of Cebu, and his dissertation was focused on the shamans of Inabanga. These shamans are are medicine people, no, who have still their rituals, and their rituals and their dances and their songs evoke that period before the Spanish rule. There are only one major community in the entire Visayas that have their rituals intact. And this is the uh, Panay Bukidnon in West Visayas. No, I think Rudy would attest to that. No? Yan na lang. At itong grupo ng mga Panay Bukidnons who have similar rituals with those of the ethnic communities in Mindanao, they have their whole school of living traditions, they have their dances. It's a whole community life still describing or promoting or preserving their local traditions that they have retained, no, up in the mountains during the time of the Spanish period. Pero dito, masyado tayong naging Katoliko na at ito'y naging na-amalgamate ng iba-ibang mga rituals. Pero may ibang mga lungsod na meron pa rin konti na lang ng mga mananambal. And I'd like to show to you, and I'd like to thank Dr. Aparece for this. And can we show the slides now, please? Ang tawag sa ating mananambal sa Inabanga, Bohol, ilan na lang sila, baka wonder. This is the research of about 10 years ago. Hindi ito. Ang title yung Dayag Forum. Sorry.
It's the other slide.
No. It's the other slideshow.
So Gardy, this means that you still see like do they still have like theatrical rituals? I mean, in their do you have performances?
No, iba na. The performativity of these things, no? You can see some of it in the big festivals, di ba? Sometimes when you reenact the whole sinulog ninyo sa amin Sandugo, may makikita kang parang pre-Hispanic forward or prologue, pinapakita yung costumes and traditions of that bygone era. At ito, kinukuha natin sa mga accounts, like the accounts ni Father Alcina, Jesuit in the Samar Leyte region at that time in the early 17th century. No? At yung based on those reenactments of mga pintados, yung mga babaylanes at that time, nare-reenact yan. Pero ito, makikita mo pa rin sa ethnic communities, sa kanilang mga own festivals. Pero dito, ang Shamans of Bohol, hindi ko makita sandali, ha?
So it's already shown.
Okay. So, ang tawag dito sa Bohol, ito yung mga medicine people, no? Local medicine leaders, no? So, meron silang rituals, meron silang mga paraphernalia. Ang tawag sa Lobok, sa Bohol, ay Meriko. Sa Maloon and others, sa Anda, for example, where you have it every Holy Week, mga mananambal. And then in Nabanga, they are called Sukdan. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's how they looked 10 years ago. These are pictures of two shamans. And there, the moment there is a healing ritual, they go into, they wear their costumes, puti, tapos may red, tapos may sword, and meron silang mga pagkain nilalagay sa lamesa, and they go into a trance and they start performing a fire dance. Next slide. Okay, they have avenues of calling. How do you become a shaman? So they go into a lot of training. Next. So training in sword dancing, in doing the rituals, no? Why it's called sukdan? Di ba? Musukod, measure, no? So bakit ganon? So it pertains to the exact arrangement and number of kanilang mga props or paraphernalia during the ritual. The exactness of the ritual payment na ibabayad sa kanila. No? At alam mo naman, mga bayad, di ba? Pagkain, manok, etc. And some money. Ang exactness of the steppings of the dance, ang exactness ng strumming of the guitar, ang exact date and time of the healing ritual, ang correct ritual costume, the correct lines of invocation, ang tamang pag-intone, ang exact measure of the wine in the glass. Everything is measured ritually. At anong belief system nila? Ayan. Next slide, please. Okay. And here is you can call the syncretism of these pre-Hispanic rituals, animists, and the Catholic religion. Nag-mix na, no? So meron silang Santo Niño, may Virgen Maria, Pero meron silang nature spirits, may environmental spirits, no? Humihingi sila ng tawad, humihingi sila ng saklolo sa mga spirits of the environment, sa kanilang mga ancestors. May mga pangalan pa yan. May mga spirit guides pa. Okay, next. Yan. Nakita mga paraphernalia, mga pagkain, costume nila, mga sometimes may shield din sila. Next. That's Dr. Aparece on the side. Okay, to give you an idea. They can do it in 2s or 3s or 4s. Next. Iba-ibang sicknesses ang hinihil nila. Okay. And this is what Dr. Aparece did. Nirecord niya lahat. He was able to do some kind of social engagement with them so that they are respected. Na-record ang rituals, ang pagkanta, ang pagsayaw. Our colleague there in Cebu, si Rudy Aviles, no, who's a theater director, he was able to remount according to the rituals intoned by the shamans. Next. What is this? Images and themes. Anong mga themes doon? Makukuha din natin sa study na ito. Next. Okay. Anong expressive culture ng mga Sukdan shamans? Makita natin na ang kanilang pananambal reflect a worldview. At itong worldview na ito ay napaka-importante, especially now in our age of a lot of digital technology, our capitalist economist stage. Maraming mga virtues ang ating mga ninuno na dapat nating paghanguan ng inspiration. No? Okay, so next. Very expressive sila, pero inside the shamanic narratives, kasi ganito yon. The moment mag-heal sila, they intone and they get into a trance. And then they embody the spirits of the Gohoy. So they become the Gohoy, or they become relatives of the Gohoy. And they enchant. Kunyari, this is just an approximation. Ako, gipanganak, tatatang, gitawa ako, ang ako mga gantong, ako mga, kumakanta at sumasayaw sila doon. And they tell the story of the Gohoy. This is really the oral narrative, our local history. No? So itong receptacle talaga ito ng ating old history. It can be already partly folkloric, but there are gems of historic truth in those stories. Okay, so they can still be done through modern means ngayon in theater. You have information about great men at the time, missing information. The cultural performances are important methods in the presentation of indigenous knowledge. So this is a key to how we can understand our indigenous wisdom from our cultural communities. Next slide. Okay, we thank Dr. Aparece. So, ma'am,
Yes.
you can take out the slides, and I'll have a 2 or 3 last statement.
Yes.
So what is the value of these remaining rituals? No? Thank you,
Remove the
Dr.
slide.
Aparece. Could you remove the slides? Ito po ang susi sa pag-unawa ng ating pagkakilanlan. Ang ating kinaiya bilang Boholano group, bilang Visayan group, andun yung pinaka-basic layer of how we hold in importance the universe, the cosmos, our ancestors, our legacy and our heritage. So, they might look for a modern millennial queer. No? Ano yan? No? Ano ba yan? Napaka-pre-scientific, napaka-non-scientific. But if you believe in the multiverse, okay, in the different layers of reality, in the belief in the sacred as they are being espoused with different concepts of religion, then we believe in one eternal being that guides the cosmos. And this is truest and most authentic and genuine in the worldview system of our ancestors. Yun po.
Salamat, Gardy. It's very interesting, and we have actually discussed about Babaylan, about the healers in the Visayas in our previous events, and we have discussed that before. The women and the gays were the spiritual leaders in the community. Only the women and the feminized men are able to become religious leaders before the Spaniards came. But then the women and the gays were demonized, the Babaylanes were demonized, and now later the healers became men. So we have seen from your slides that most of the shamans depicted are now men. So, so of
Yes,
course,
yes.
the our native religion, the animism, told us about it tells about respecting nature, respecting the trees, the seas, or the rivers, because if you disrespect them, mabuyagan ka, you become ill. That's why you need to have the healers to ask for forgiveness from those nature spirits that you have erred or that you have transgressed. So, and then of course, the Spaniards said that our babaylanes were charlatans. They said they were all they were
They
all
were demons. They were
demons.
impersonations of the devil. Di ba?
Yes, and we see the those who would
And
write who chronicle
in
them.
copies, they become mga manananggal. Di ba?
Yes. Daghang salamat Gardy for discussing us
As,
that very important study.
yes. Ang point dito, these are parts of our culture that we can keep on portraying and studying and analyzing in our creative endeavors as artists.
Yes. So now we would like to ask, that is the precursor of theater, like the performances of our babaylanes, of our religious leaders in the past. So now we would like to ask Yardi regarding the church tradition. So he mentioned about the, of course, the Spanish colonial rule happened. So what were the influences of the Catholic Church, and what were the church traditions in Bohol that also contain dramatic or theater elements?
Okay. Ang ating mga Spanish colonial people were also artists, okay? So, and they believed in the power of art, okay? Well, I'm sorry, I cannot, there is no PowerPoint for this, no? I could have, but I didn't have time. All right. So, let me just tell you, nutshell what happened, di ba? Especially in Bohol, no? The Jesuits were lovers of music, okay? So they taught music the Western way to our children in Lobok, no? And according to one of the chroniclers, si Chirino, Padre Chirino, when he taught the music to these young kids in Lobok, the next day, he just heard them singing as they were walking by the Lobok River, singing the tunes of Ave Maria, whatever hymns he taught them, so beautifully. They were like angels. Okay? So it showed that we had also such a propensity for music. Okay? So isa yon. So the Jesuits and later the Recollects really had a great influence in local religious music. Okay? If you are a musician, okay, you will understand that better when I say, okay, all the music before the Spaniards came were what we call in modes, no? Different tonalities, no? Mga hindi yung Western na pinapakinggan na natin ngayon, which uses what they call the tonal system, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, etc. Okay, so they brought with them this whole tradition of Western music, and imposed on us how we should celebrate our church tradition using this kind of culture. Okay, but what happened also, in the beginning, it might be really imposed, no? So how did they impose? Music lang ba? No. They started painting on the ceilings. So mga visual arts all over, showing yung mga ceilings ng ating mga simbahan, the different mysteries, the different doctrines of the church. Oh, ganun ba? Ay, ganun ba? Ganun. And as recorded again, one of the first plays that were staged, one of the first plays staged in Bohol, no, is La Vida de Santa Barbara, the life of Saint Barbara, who was a martyr. So tinakot ang ating mga ancestors, pag hindi ka mo to, o tingnan mo nakita ang struggle ni Santa Barbara na mapupunta sa hell siya kung hindi siya naging talagang totoong santa. Okay? And they were using also the artifacts, the theater technology at that time of the Spanish Baroque theater, or the medieval theater of Spain, and we see it, and you see the impact on us. So after centuries of this kind of absorption, no, of intercultural relationship, dahan-dahan, especially right after the defeat of the Gohoy. Natakot sila mga pare, no? Napunta sila sa coast, no? They could only develop a little of the religious, kasi natakot sila sa army ni Dagohoy who ruled Bohol for 85 years. Pero nung natalo nila sa Dagohoy, then there was this freedom of creativity. So, ano nangyari? No? Then suddenly, pipe organs along Bohol. We are the province that has the most pipe organs in every major town. Nasira yan dahil sa earthquake, restore. Okay? And then we have church music composed per town, mga misa. And you can see it in the museums. Part of those, kinuha na nga sa Intramuros. Okay? So, what do you have that? You have what they call, one of the scholars that studied this, Sandy and Inigo Chua, okay, is a resurgence of creativity in music and the arts, kasi free na sila, pero hindi sa Western na Western. Makita mo ang tono ay amalgamation or syncretic fusion of the old chanting, no, and the new music of the West. Okay, so we have those masses. And what are the theater traditions that with music that accompany that? Una, ang mga gozos, no? So, mga prosesyon, meron yan. That's a performative act. But one of the major tradition in Bohol is what they call in Tagalog salubong, what they call in Cebu sugat, what we call in Bohol hugos during Easter dawn when Mary is met by the crucified Christ, no, and then the angel comes down, and then she takes off the veil from the sorrowful mother, and that's a whole ritual of songs, no, prayers that's done only 10 to 20 minutes every Easter dawn in all of the towns of Bohol. Pero ang maganda rito, iba-iba ang melody, iba-iba ang staging. So it is really an impetus for local creativity. That is the major local tradition from the Spanish era, aside from the music of the old masses na hindi na masyadong kinakanta, aside from the Christmas traditions where you see the life of Christ also, yung tatawag nilang rico-rico, panunuluyan yon, no? And the pastores, yon. All the major rituals of Christianity are all makikita mo during Christmas and during Lent and Easter. But the most glorious, the most creative is the hugos of Bohol, ang salubong, or yung sugat, katulad sa Mindanila, no? ng Cebu. Yon.
Yes, Gardy, it's very interesting. So, we would have wanted the youth now to see the old versions of these hugos, this sugat or salubong in Tagalog. So, of course, during Holy Week, there are also performances, right, of the Passion of Christ, and also during Christmas, there is also the pastores that they would be singing the
Daygon.
Yes, the Daygon, and they would be singing. There are also pastores dinaga here in the past. Historian Jobers Reyes Bersales told me about it, that he actually filmed or made a video out of it because it's vanishing. No one already knows. I mean, only a few knows about this tradition of pastores.
Going from one place to look for an inn, in Tagalog, it's called panunuluyan. But in Bohol, we have the rico-rico, no? And also, we also have, in some towns, enteng. Okay? So, iba-iba yung kanyang localization. But that's a beautiful, and I'm sure it's not only in Bohol, that's across the Visayas.
Gardy, there is a question for you regarding the babaylan or the shamans. So this is from the 𝗵𝗄𝗃 Taguig. He is the supervisor of the 𝗵𝗄𝗃 Taguig and Pateros. He wants to know if there are still shamans nowadays, and where do we find the most concentration of shamans in the Visayan region?
Okay. Shamans or mga mananambal or mga babaylan, no? We don't call them or some they call it baylan or mananambal na ngayon, no? In terms of concentration, wala talagang concentration. You can see them in Siquijor, some in the mountains of Negros, and some in, of course, a lot, of course, in the ethnic communities. When I say ethnic, the indigenous people communities in Tacpa, and that is in Panay Bukidnon. In Panay Bukidnon, you have a lot of artists, healers, mga masters. Okay, they are both masters of the craft of that local community, but they are also healers. Di ba, Rudy? You can ask Rudy later kasi yun ang region niya. Okay? Meron din sa East Visayas, meron din sa Central. Pinakamarami ay sa 𝗕𝗂𝗃𝗄𝗏. No? 𝗕𝗂𝗃𝗄𝗏 is one of the bastions of local religiosity that we get from the Spanish times, from the pre-Hispanic times. So yun. And you know what is beautiful, 𝗕𝗏𝗏? That's a question from 𝗕𝗏𝗏. In Bohol, what helped us identify and look for these rituals is that cultural mapping project. If you have a cultural mapping project through the NCCA, through 𝗕𝗏𝗏, through HCP, you will find that will be a good opportunity for you teachers to be able to identify, to study the different intangible cultural heritage of your community. And that is one aspect of what we call ICH is local wisdom, local religion, and local beliefs.
Yes, Gardy, thank you very much. So, of course, we had a discussion a few months ago, last year in October, and we had a panelist. We have a healer from 𝗕𝗂𝗃𝗄𝗏 who was with us in that event. And also, when we discussed about poisons and aphrodisiacs in Visayan history, we also had a healer from Daan Bantayan who came here to explain how,
Wow!
yes, how she
Wow!
how she's a trans, and then she showed us some of her medicines that she made, and how
Wow!
she does it, how she does healing. And of course, when our Alima native massage at Palmgrass, when we had this, we wanted the therapist to learn about Hilot Binisaya. So we invited really a mananamba, like a healer, a hilot, to show them
Yeah.
how a Binisaya hilot is done.
So
So
there's a dense population of these helots in 𝗕𝗂𝗃𝗄𝗏, and I hope you got in touch also with who is a herbalist, who's a helot, who's an artist,
yes,
Sir Junel Tumaroy. No, if you can get in touch, he's
yes.
very articulate about the whole practice of this.
Our next question for you, Gardy, is regarding the development. How did the performing arts develop in Bohol?
Okay. Then I can show my second slide. No, and Ms. Agripina, I hope this is our last because I have to leave in 15
Yes,
minutes.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right. All right. Very fast, no? Before I show the slides. Okay. The all right. Just hold on for that slide one. All right. During the Spanish times, of course, we did a lot of copying of theater forms from Spain, and most of these were in the religious traditions, no, as we just explained. Okay, and then you have the American period, no, and then you see a lot of that in the early American period across the whole country. One major form that was popular was the zarzuela. Okay, so Cebu had zarzuelas. We also had zarzuelas. Okay, then when our teachers, artists were trained in the States, they came back with American theater forms. The concept of the well-made play, no, patterned after sila Miller, sila Williams, no. So ganung klaseng dramaturgy ang tawag natin doon. Okay? And then during the Japanese occupation, so we had also that kind of place in Bohol. In the Japanese occupation, you have small, parang guerrilla theater play, attacking or protesting against Japanese occupation in very, theater of the tour, we call it, way. And then after liberation, in the Republican era, we were first so influenced by a lot of plays from the West, especially from American theater. Okay, we created our own plays, correct? but in the fashion, in the mode, in the manner, in the aesthetics of American theater. Okay? But in the 60s, that also happened in Bohol. In the 60s, in the 70s, with institutions in Manila and across the region, across the country, there was a surge of nationalism in the theater, in the arts, especially in the 70s, hanggang sa people power. Because we saw at that time how theater can be used for conscientization, for raising social consciousness. And people like me, like Rudy, like Nene there, your guest, we were all part of that movement, to see social change using the arts, and especially our medium was the theater. Okay, in Bohol, there were community theater groups that Nene worked with. They have different coastal fishermen's group, farmers group that were portraying ang mga paghihirap ng mga ating mga basic masses at that time. So that was part of a whole national movement for change using the arts and drama. The cinema, of course, you have Lino Brocka. And then when we had people power and the EDSA revolution, then we have also a surge of what we call student theater. Yan sila Nenen through an institution called an institution, nakalimutan mo. Basta may institution that helped take care of this development of theater in the Visayas. Okay, so you have a surge of student-based theater and religious-based theater in the different communities. That also happened in Bohol. Then in the 80s and the 90s, this more or less waned, and in Bohol we started resurrecting theater, and this is now the subject of my slides: the formation of the first repertory theater formation in Bohol through Teatro Bolanon, and now called Kasing Sining. Can we show the slides, please? Very fast. Okay, I cannot see it properly kasi maliit na. Okay, next slide. Next slide, okay. Teatro Bolanon. So the vision of Teatro Bolanon is really to do original plays that reflect the life, the struggles, the history of Boholano communities, using the aesthetics not only of the West, but especially of local theater aesthetics and dramaturgy. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. So, and next slide. So I was trained in PETA, Philippine Educational Theater Association. So much of my skill has been wrought from that 20-year experience. So I was in Manila with PETA for 25 years. Now I've spent the last 25 years in Bohol helping developing arts and culture in the province. And our first production hanggang ngayon in different kinds of styles is the play on Dagohoy. Dagon sa Yohoy. Okay, next. Yan. It was done in a zarzuela kind of a play. Okay, music by, I don't know whether you know, do you know Elvis Somoso? He's a very famous Cebu-based composer there in Cebu, but his roots is from Getafe in Bohol. He's a Boholano, but earned his profession in Cebu. He was the composer. The librettist of this is a Boholano historian, Marianito Luspo. I directed this, and all of my singers, actors were Boholanos from different communities. Next slide. Okay, next slide. Next slide, please. Bilisan lang natin, pwede mabilis. Okay. Some scenes. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. So, from 2003 to, and we also directed the Sandugo Oracles. No, this is the reenactment of the blood compact between si Katuna and Legazpi. Okay, next. So, ang ano nito, I research and new dramaturgy using music, dance, and ritual. There's the Babaylan, okay? Because in the records, there was a Babaylan who didn't want to be invaded by the West, okay? Another play about heritage, Karaang Balay, okay? This was a conflict in the household whether to sell a heritage house or not. Naaway sila sa kanilang pamilya. Next. So a lot of my plays were about heritage. No? Next. And against development. Okay, and then how do you use theater to eradicate poverty and protect ecology? So we started building community theaters in the different towns of Bohol. Next. There, this is in Punta Cruz, in Maribojoc. The history of the watchtower, no, in Bohol. So there's a lot of workshops, okay, festivals, and eco-cultural tourism. So we built about 6 community cultural collectives in 6 towns, showcasing their history but using it for community tourism. Next. Oh, and we also did international theater networking. Okay, next. Okay, next. Pwedeng paspasan lang. Next. And then there was the Bohol earthquake. So we did a lot of workshops and arts for healing, theater for healing. And I'm very happy, tumulong sa amin ng mga Cebu artists. Andiyan, no? Mga taga Cebu, nandyan. So iba-ibang mga people from the NGO communities. We did a lot of workshops for different communities that were, excuse me, wait. Can you go back a bit? Ayan. Itong play na ito was already 1 year. It's an anniversary of the earthquake. By that time, na meron ng konting rehabilitation. This is very unique. This is people's theater at its best. Ang umarte dito, yung mga, just go back to that slide, please. No. Yan. Nasa grandstand yan. 700 to 800 actors. Ni-reenact ang earthquake, ni-reenact ang rehabilitation, at nagkaroon ng hope. So, it is now a historical reenactment of that tragedy or that disaster hanggang nagkaroon ng resilience. And these are non-actors, no? Mga policemen, mga people sa Red Cross, mga volunteers who reacted, who reenacted what happened to them during the earthquake. Next. Next, please. Okay. And this is Teatro Porvenir, a play which we did in the Baclayon cockpit. Okay. So we wanted to use heritage sites, no, as a theater venue. Next. Okay. And we have the Abatan River Theater. It's a theater which will be built by the river. And we did also a restaging of Dagohoy. Fast, please. Okay, that's now Kasing Sining. And we're now involved in a lot of, especially in the pandemic, a lot of digital-based theater. No, we are now being supported by the Arts Council of Bohol. So that's okay now. You can take off the slides. Thank you. So that gives you an idea of how we developed theater in the last 25 years. No, so thank you. You can take off the slides now.
Remove the slides.
Okay. And our recent development, Ms. Agripina, is we are now building 2 major institutions. We are building what you call the Regional Cultural Hub. This is going to be on a slope in Tagbilaran, in Mount Banati. The master plan has been approved, and construction is going on and going through all the consultations with the community. There's going to be a performance black box, a museum and a gallery, and it will be open to the entire region to showcase our local theater and local performers. No? And then we are also building a program called the Institute of Living Traditions, where our artists are going to be trained in theater. So para hindi na sila pumunta sa Maynila palagi at meron silang gainful profession, may training, magiging professional sila at magagamit ito sa tourism, sa kanilang profession. Ayun po.
Yes. So our audience, our online audience has been saying, so we have Ferdinand here who says that the live chanting in the background adds character to the lecture. So it's your sound effect. It's part of your sound effects in your discussion.
Did you hear the bell?
Yes, and it's time's up. The bell says time's up. And Jera says
ano yun? Flores de Mayo.
Jera says it's sad that some people never appreciates shamans nowadays. And also, Jera is asking about what are the stories or the issues that the Boholano show in the theater. And there is a question a while ago that I saw. I didn't see it now. And then there was a question, who sings better, the Cebuano or the Bulanon? So
That's very subjective. Okay.
so we are all Bisaya. So the Bisaya are a musical people. So all the Bisaya
Very,
sing
very.
well.
From
All
the
Bisaya
from
sing well.
Capiz hanggang Samar, we all sing. No, and I
Yes.
think it's our archipelagic, our river waterways, our seas help us inundate, help us sing like parang their waves, no? So nakatulong ating ecological character.
Daghang salamat, Gardy, for being with us. We're so happy with your sharing of the stories in Bohol, the performances in Bohol, the Babaylan. So we want to see you again in our next events. We want to hear
Yeah,
more from
because
you.
I have lots of videos prepared, pero there's no more time. I have
Sige.
highlights of Dagon sa Hoyohoy, highlights of our work. Pero if there's another chance next time and more preparation, alam mo kasi patong-patong mga trabaho ngayong panahon ng pandemic.
Yes.
Lalong-lalo
Daghang
na ngayon,
salamat.
mag-face-to-face na. Okay. Thank
Daghang
you
salamat,
also, Mel.
Gardy. For next time. Maayong hapon,
Yeah.
Gardy. The people are also thanking
Bye.
you, the online
Okay,
audience.
thank you.
And they are giving you an applause and the
Okay.
on-site audience. So now we would like to hear
Okay.
also from, we would now like to hear also from our other panelists. So we have Lucien Letaba from Samar. He will be sharing with us about Cebu Theater and Waray Theater, and also we have Rudy Rivichet who would share with us about the West Visayas Theater. And then you should listen properly and well to our panelists. You should listen well to our panelists because we would be having a trivia quiz with exciting prizes. So those who would you would be able to answer the questions when you listen to the presentations of our panelists. So there would be 3 questions in a while. So we would like to have also to listen to Lucien. So Lucien is a music composer. He is also a film scorer, and he also is does music scoring for uh, for theater. And so we would like to ask Lucien regarding music traditions in pre-colonial Visayas. So of course, there is always music in theater, right? And films. So may we have Lucien?
So to solve this, we were able to we can only as far uh, consider references, accounts, the chroniclers who were part of the expeditions that came. So one of this is the account by Francisco Ignacio Alsina, Jesuit, in his book Historia de Islas y Indios de Visayas, which he wrote in 1668. It was translated by Father 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 OFM into what is now being circulated as the history of the Bisayan people in the Philippine Islands. In this book, he mentioned, as he witnessed, i-edit na lang ni natin, science when we came, we're a very musical people. So in his account, in his book, he said that, and I quote, "Unless he is sick, who ceases to sing, except when he is asleep." So yun ang remark ni Alina. Buti sabot ang mga Visayans were practically performing music from the time they get up in bed up to the time they retire. So, dili lang sila mag-perform kung naisakit or kung natulog. So, ang activities nila sa everyday, activities were accompanied by music. Even the occupational ang ilang mga trabaho sa pangisda, pag-uma, no? They were performing music. And he also noted the dexterity of the natives when they were playing instruments. And he said that they could be playing such instrument as the lute, the 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃, as if they speak and make love to one another. So ingon ana that's how they communicate with each other through music and chants and the instruments that they were playing. Not he noticed that they were playing, the natives were playing with dexterity, buti pa maayo kaayo ang pagperform sa mga instruments. So other forms, musical forms, na mention ni Alcina ang ambahan is a form of a community song. The bikal or balat, which is a satirical joust. No? Ito is the there's where we got the balitaw and the smiling. Balitaw in Central Visayas and the smiling in Eastern Visayas. Yung joust, yung sagutan, no, between the performers. Usually a female and a guy, it's courtship song. And then the 𝗟𝗏𝗏, which is a very more metrical structure than the 𝗏. So, gimension niya nga mga forms. I would like to share with you a sketch made by Alcina in that book, where he mentioned about the quigal, or danza de hombre y mujer. In English, the dance between a man and a woman. No? And then I'd like to give reference also to a documentation of this illustration of the dance, no? Sa usa ka tribe in the Kapulong, Davao del Norte, called the 𝗕𝗏𝗏 tribe, the Alcina, and as performed by a community, a tribe in. So here is the illustration. Look at the lavish costumes of the natives of the Visayas, with headdresses, skirts, like 𝗥𝗂𝗃𝗃, that's the hombre and mujer. And this is the documentation of the 𝗕𝗏𝗏 tribe in. You can see the handkerchief, emphasize
That's all. Daghang salamat to Lucien. So now we would like to, so those are the pre-colonial practices or music practices in the Visayas. And of course, he said that according to Father Francisco Alcina, the Bisaya would always sing. So of course, Bisaya comes from the word saya. We are a joyful people. We sing. And then even Bisagyabag, no? Even if out of tune, we always sing. He said, Father Francisco Alcina, the Visayan people would sing all the time, except when asleep or when he or she is sick. So that's why it's very hard for us not to have �video_K, right? So before �video_K was born, there was harana, or there was I think when a group of people would be gathered, there would always be guitars and other musical instruments, right? So we also have a regarding the development of theater in the Visayas. So there was have you heard of the word linambay? So linambay. So it is a theater form in the southern parts of Cebu, right? In a few years ago, and it still was performed like decades ago. So there is also this 𝒨𝗏𝗏. So it is you heard Dr. Rizel Mojares who mentioned about 𝒨𝗏𝗏 being performed in in 𝗪𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃 in 1900s. So we would like to ask Lucien regarding the stories portrayed in the most popular zarzuelas in Cebu or in the Visayas. So this is recorded, so pardon the technical.
Unsay gamit sa linampay or moro-moro, we were intended to entertain.
So we are still
Primarily to
discussing
entertain.
linampay.
And they promoted the tenets of Catholic faith, obedience, sacrifice, forgiveness, again, as a tool to mold the minds of the natives. Catholicism always goes in hand with being good, the goodness, the thought goodness. And however, very clear yung dichotomy ng social class. No? So even the characters, may kay mga princess, so sila ang upper class. Tapos ang mga timawa, the natives were sila ang tigdala, ang luto, in the community. Okay, so it was also a religious politicalization tool. No? So those who were not converted yet to Christians, some Moors were end up in the story. Some Moors end up being converted to Christian. So it also has a hegemonic impact as it reinforced dominance of the ruling class. No? So permi ang makadaog ang mga prinsipe, sila permi ang bida sa story. Of course, a feudal society, because it very clear na the characters, yun ang bida, could not be lower class. It should be the prince and the princess, ang mga hadi. Okay, so it also dichotomized the villages, so it imposed the social hierarchy, like the 𝒂𝒂𝗃𝗃𝗃, landowners, and these are seen from the characters we play that the stories. Okay, Dr. Mojaves, in his book Folk Drama and Social Organization, he made some kind of a social analysis of the linampay in terms of social level, organization of the linampay production, and symbols used in portraying the stories. So, ang inner elite, according to him,
Yes, daghang salamat to Lucien for discussing with us the Linambay. So you would learn more. Linambay is a, a, a theater in the community, in the barangay. It's usually staged for a day or 2 days, and it is usually also financed by the elite in the community. So Dr. Rizal Muhares has a study about that in Valladolid, Carcar, and he has written about that. Also here, he mentioned that here in his article here. It is also in one of the articles in the book at the Basahanan at Pamgras, in the interrogations in Philippine cultural history. So it's there. He mentioned about, because Dr. Rizal Muhares really stayed at Valladolid, in Valladolid, Carcar. It was the Valladolid was the center in Carcar, in the capital of Carcar in the past. So it was the most lively among areas in Carcar. So it was in Valladolid that Linambay was performed. So later, Zarzuela was already performed. Also, there is Zarzuela also in teatro, performed in 𝗪𝗂𝗃𝗃𝗃. Can we show the explanation of Lucien regarding the Zarzuela, and also regarding Don Vicente Soto's plays? So you heard of Don Vicente Soto. He is the ancestor of Vico Soto. so Don Vicente Soto was he was a patriot. He performed patriotic plays at the 𝗪𝗂𝗃𝗃 during the American period, or even during American time, and he was showing plays about love of country. So do we have the explanation of Lucien regarding what is 𝒪𝒃?
Okay. So, ang Waray Zarzuela is no different from the other zarzuelas in terms of form structure. No? So, napagyapon na kanta, love story, and then, well, compared sa mga zarzuela ni, well, they were all nationalistic actually. Compared sa zarzuela ni Soto, mas isog-isog nga ito, mas strong ang political statements or undercurrents ng mga zarzuela ni Soto. Gani, naging very popular na all walks of life, mga datu, ordinary tao, mananagot sila sa Oriente. Okay, ang Waray Zarzuela, the most prominent figure in the history of Waray Zarzuela was Iluminado Lucente. He was born in 1883, died in 1960. He was a member, just like Soto, he was a member of the Sanghiran Sandinisaya Hasama Oblate, which translated Academy of the Design Language of Samar and Leyte. They also organized, or which was organized by Norberto Romualdez. His most famous work is the poem An 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗵𝗲, which was first the poem The Motherland. 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗵𝗲 is Motherland. And then giputangan og music ni Eugenio Haro, and became the nationalistic song, theme song of the rights and 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗵𝗲. So everybody knows to sing this song. It gained popularity after the World War II. No? It's a very nationalistic song. Okay, so he was also, Docente was also a writer of the Adlawon, the Daybreak, which is a daily periodical, and he was responsible for the proliferation of Waray literature in the years to follow.
Daghang salamat, Lucien, for discussing about zarzuela. So, of course, zarzuela is a 1-act to 5-act play with songs, dance, and it is written in prose. So, now we would now like to have our live online panelists. We have with us the theater veteran from West Visayas. He is based in Bacolod. So, Rudy Riviche. Please, may we have Rudy now? So Rudy, so now it's your time. So we would now we would like to ask you. So Rudy will be staying with us the whole time until the end. So so we would like to ask you also the audience to give your questions to Rudy if you have any comments also. So Rudy, we would like to ask you about you mentioned about this very important role of the theater in the revolution in West Visayas. So please tell us about how theater became a key player in the 1898 Cinco de Noviembre. And what is Cinco de Noviembre?
Okay. Cinco de Noviembre is an annual celebration of the province of Negros Occidental in commemoration of the historic bluff, we call it historic bluff, that freed Negros Occidental from the Spanish colonial rule in 1898. If you have mentioned earlier that in Luzon, they declared Philippine independence in Kawit, Cavite in June, no? And after that, in November, we also have our own version of how we were able to repel the Spanish colonial rule in Negros Occidental. And it happened on November 5, 1898. That's why we call it Cinco de Noviembre. Actually, the background here is the hacienderos of particularly Bago City, Talisay City, and Silay City were able to plan out a very clever attack, or rather a very clever plan to oust the Spaniards by true bloodless revolution. And what they did was this, no? In Silay, they have this drugstore or a botica owned by the Leandro Locsin, wherein the hacienderos would contribute the financial amount, no, their contribution for the logistics of the revolution. And what they did was it's a ploy, it's a camouflage. They use the reseta, we call that the reseta, no, with 500, you know, nakasulat doon kung ilang milligrams, but actually that means their contribution. Like for example, if it's a 500 milligrams, that means he contributed 500 pesos or so on. And in Bago City, which is in Silay is in the northern part of the province, and in Silay City, in Bago City, led by General Juan Araneta, they were able to come up with fake cannons. They rolled the mats and painted it black and mounted it on the carro, no, and the carrito. And they also made fake rifles made of nipa stalks and painted it black. And so from afar, it looks like real cannons and rifles. And ito na pumasok yung what we call the theater elements in the plan. Siyempre, when we talk of theater, we have the producers, no? Sino yung nagpo-produce? Of course, in this instance, it's the hacienderos who were the producers, no? Nag-collaborate sila, the hacienderos from Silay, Talisay, and Bago, and came up with logistics. Sino yung ginamit nila ng mga tao? Yung mga sugarcane workers from their hacienda. So these are our actors, no? And meron tayong story. In a play, meron tayong story or a script. Ang script was, prior to the revolution, there were already rumors that may mga armaments na who were brought to Negros Occidental, but actually it's not true, no? So sinakyan ng mga haciendero ang story na yon, and yun talaga ang pumasok sa isip ng mga Kastila, no, na there were real cannons and rifles. And then, siyempre, yung mga props natin in theater, we use props. Yun nga, mga fake na mga cannons and rifles. And importante din yung lights. Natural lights ang ginamit. Because when they marched from Bago City, led by Juan Araneta, mounted on his favorite horse, it was dusk. So from afar, kasi sa Bacolod, merong bell tower na mataas sa San Sebastian Cathedral. And nakita ng mga Kastila na hundreds of people marching with cannons and rifles towards Bacolod. And it was dusk. So medyo nakatulong din yung lights na medyo madilim na, and they really believe na talagang totoo. So on that day, pagdating nila ng Bacolod, ang Spanish colonizers made a frantic call to Iloilo to help them, no? But no help came, no? And so on November 5, pumirma ang mga Kastila ng capitulation, and yun na, nagsimula na, no? And it was only the following day on November 6 that they have realized that they were black, kasi doon ang nakita na mga fake pala na rifles and cannons ang ginamit. So that was very successful, and yun na. So we celebrate that one during our 5 de Noviembre. And that was also, this event was a take-off for Bago City for their annual sigabong sang mga kanyon or sigabong ng mga kanyon. Every November 5, they have a reenactment, no? So for the young people to not to forget this event. So they have this sigabong ng mga kanyon, and of course in the capital city in Bacolod, the province also observed the 5 de Noviembre with simple ceremonies, and also in Silay and in Talisay. So yun, that's how theater became very effective in napaalis o napasurrender yung mga Kastila sa Negros Occidental.
Yes, thank you very much, Rudy. So you really see that the Visayans are very creative And then also in Negros Island. So that's November 5, 1898, Cinco
Yes.
de Noviembre. In Cebu, we celebrate also 3 de Abril. So
Yes.
because it's April 3 that it's the start of the revolution in Cebu. But in Negros, it was the surrender already because of the theater acting of the acting of the acting ability of the talents of the Negrosanon. So that's how they made the Spaniards surrender. So we
Ah,
have this excerpt of the
yes.
video. So there is a video of Cinco de Noviembre produced in Negros, and one of the actors is Rudy.
Yes.
Right? I saw you in the credits. So we only show a bit of the video. It's 30 minutes, but we show only about 2 minutes of the video
Yes.
where that the props of the production were being done. So we would like to show you excerpt from Cinco de Noviembre.
The performers are artists of Negros Occidental.
At the dawn of November 5, the capitanes put on their uniforms and gathered their men, who were comprised of farm laborers and local citizens. General Araneta was going to war with a troubled mind. He was facing the reality of a lack of arms and an untrained army in the face of an impending revolt. Knowing that he had to lead an uprising within a few hours, General Araneta allowed innovation to take over. He directed his troops to gather the nipa stalks of bago and shape them into rifles. They gathered a number of amakan, which were rolled, painted black, and mounted on carabao carts to look like cannons. In the meantime, other towns in Negros were reclaimed by the Filipino revolutionary forces by simply walking to the plaza, disarming a few scattered Spaniards, and hoisting the Philippine flag amidst cheers. In Silay, shots were exchanged between less than a dozen Spanish soldiers and Nicolas Goles's troops. Lieutenant Maximiano Correa surrendered after a few soldiers were wounded. In order to save face, his capitulation term stated that he surrendered in the aftermath of a hand-to-hand combat where he and his men fought valiantly and killed many. The dramatic peak of the revolution, however, was the taking of Bacolod. Spanish emissary José Ruiz de Luzuriaga was tasked to negotiate with General Lacson, whose troops, about 8,000 strong, were encamped in Matabang, the river boundary between Talisay and Bacolod. To Luzuriaga's entreaties, Lacson's response was, "We want only one thing, not to have anything to do with that corrupt and demoralized government from which neither us nor our descendants can expect anything good. To this end, we are willing to risk our lives." Luzuriaga relayed Lacson's message to the Spanish governor, along with the information that the southern forces of General Araneta, about 2,000 men, were only 2 kilometers away. The Spanish officials saw from afar a thick formation of men, heavily armed with rifles and pulling several cannons.
Daghang salamat. So you see in that video how the Negrosanons, the Negros people fooled or the Spaniards and made the Spaniards surrender. So now we would like to fast forward from the Spanish time and in the 1980s. So theater in because we have listened to Lucien talk about the zarzuela, that's practiced during American time and also Spanish time. So in the 1980s, maybe we have Rudy now.
Yes.
So we would like to ask Rudy regarding the cultural movement that happened in the 1980s, and we would like to ask about what did the theater, how did theater become the people's voice in the 1980s?
Theater in Negros was very active and very creative in the 1980s, especially right after the assassination of Benigno Aquino in 1983. And there were a lot of theater groups that came up, no, from the parishes, from the church, from the community theater, from the schools. And there were lots of lakbayan. This is the march of the people from the south to the north going to Bacolod for a massive rally denouncing the corruption in our government. And the most effective theater platform used was street theater. And of course, we have forum theater. No? We call it sometimes invisible theater because that's how you engage people. I remember I did that one. Ang ginagawa ko, so, sasakay ako ng isang jeepney, tapos I start talking to the passengers, and people will now engage in conversation, and papara na ako, bababa na ako. But ayun, kahit na nakababa na ako, they still talk about the situation in our country. So that's why we do forum theater. And nagkaroon kami ng isang wide umbrella of all theater groups. We call it the Negros Theater League. And this is the offshoot of the Banaag. Alam yan ng mga taga Cebu, no? And meron sa teatro obrero na naging teatro ng mga sugarcane workers. We also have the teatro pangkatilingban ng church and so on. And ito ang naging outlet ng mga tao to denounce corruption, to denounce the abuses of the military during this time. And naging effective siya, no? And it caught, in fact, PETA was able to mount the Makiisa also in Bacolod City in 1985. And if you remember, naging isang very historical event noon, ang the so-called Escalante Massacre, na hanggang ngayon, kinocommemorate pa rin sa Escalante City, no? During maraming mga nagwelga na namatay because of the massacre committed by the military. So yun ang naging ang teatro, hindi lang teatro, even the visual artist, no? Meron kayong grupo ng mga dihon na they paint murals, no, all over the streets and during the rallies to really talk about the what's happening in our country. And of course, it culminated in the EDSA People Power Revolution in 1986.
So Rudy, if you have slides, does Rudy have slides? So
I was not able to prepare for that.
Please just ask us if you have slides. Please just ask us to show it. So next we would like to ask. So it means that what motivated how did the Negros Theater organize or made those how did they think of how to reach out to the people? So you said forum theater. So forum theater is just talking. So is there a performance in that when you ride the jeepney and talk to the people? Like right now in Cebu or a few years ago before the pandemic, diba, there are young kids who would go inside, who would ride a jeepney and they would start singing and having this instrument, like percussion instrument, and then asking the people for donations, right? And they would do it through singing. So when you ride the jeepney during that time in the 1980s, do you also sing and dance in the jeepney to tell them about to convince them to make the people be aware of the situation of the country at the time?
Usually we don't do that. Talagang nag-uusapan sometimes it could be alone or maybe may kasama ako na may script na kami and then pick up from there people will start talking so hindi aware ang public na we're doing theater para it just come naturally in a way yun nga naging natural yung mga reactions and comments of the people and saka later in the 90 when I was teaching theater na in my alma mater school, San Agustin, sinubukan ko ulit, mga way back, mga 2000 na sinubukan ko ulit, pero for let them experience how to do that. May ano sila, sumakay sila sa jeepney and they start talking anything about under the sun. And siyempre may kasama para in case na baka pagalitan ng driver, ng pasahero, may somebody will have to defend them, And ang ganda ng naging reaction ng mga bata because aside from talking about the issues of the day, naging vehicle then for them to face their fears, Kasi pag actor ka siyempre may mga stage what we call the stage fright. So ito jeepney fright kasi andiyan ka sa jeepney and baka anytime could happen. So ang bilis ka, it's a way of training them na mag-isip ng mabilis. Ayun.
So it's very creative at that time. So when I see now like flash mob, like you just go in the crowd and then you act. So you already did that. I heard from those who did theater, like street theater, they would do theater in the street. So flash mob was already done by you in 1998.
Yes. We don't call it flash mob, pero yun na.
Yes. So now we would like to ask you regarding the stories that the Negros theater icons. What did the top Negros theater icons tell? In what were the stories told by theater in the past or until today?
Yes. I still have to mention first who are our theater icons, We have kilala ito ni Nini Pasilan kasi kasama niya sa Banaag si the late Joel Arbolario. And of course, the well-known film and theater director Pecky Galiaga. We also have Dr. Cecil Nava, who is more of a historian. She documents what theater is about in Negros. And of course, we have Dr. 𝗟𝘂𝗃𝗄𝗆, who is a Palangka Hall of Famer scriptwriter, And Father Miguel Carrion, my good friend, who advocated active nonviolence. So what are the stories that they tell, Dr. 𝗂𝗃𝗄𝗆 had considered na ito na classic, She wrote In My Father's House, which was staged several times in UP, in Bacolod, in Dumaguete. It tells about the real story of her family na yung kanilang, I think, great-grandfather was accused of being a collaborator during the Japanese occupation in World War II, So it deals about family relationship. And of course, Pecky Galiaga introduced to us adaptations of foreign works, Voltaire's Candide and so on. So we adapted that into local setting. And of course, si Joel Arbolario was the most prolific in terms of writing what's happening to our province during the time. If you remember, in the 80s, nag-drop talaga yung sugar industry namin. Kaya nga, yung mga asyendero namin, they will never forget what happened to them. And there was an icon, na naging icon na bata, si the late Joel Abong, who was malnourished and that caught attention ng world media because of that situation na nag-drop ang sugar industry. So Joel Arbolario wrote so many plays about this. And we also have a book, kanina pinakita mo yung Dulaang Cebuano, o Dulaang Bisaya. Meron din isang book on Dulaang Hiligaynon. And andun ng isa sa mga work ni Joel Arbolario with the rest of the other playwrights ng Western Visayas, And yun, ang mga, what do they write about? Ako nin, I was able to write in 86 during our centennial, Philippine centennial, the 𝗵𝗂𝗃𝗃, who is the parang equivalent then of Leon Quilat. He is a babaylan that led the revolution also in Negros Occidental. We also have a story of Carolan. This is about mass suicide during the Spanish era, wherein instead of surrendering to the Spaniards, this happened in Cabangcalan, ang mga tao, ang mga villagers burned their houses and nag-commit ng suicide inside the house. So, si Joel naman wrote about the Sacadas, no? Yun ang pinaka malaking mga stories namin dito sa Negros.
Yes, and I always remember, like when I was, I guess, in high school or elementary, I remember a very popular line at that time: "The Negros child is hungry,"
Yes,
and that
bata.
visual of the very thin, malnourished child. So it was from that when I just learned now that it came from the theater icons in Bacolod. It was
Yes.
very effective. It was simple, direct, and it you really see it. It visualizes the situation of Negros. The
That's
Negros
what,
child is hungry.
yes, that was Joel Abong, Batang Negros. And isa ding very naging that caught the attention worldwide was the Negros Nine. Tatlong Colomban priest and other church workers na kinulong, no? They were called the Negros Nine, kinulong sa provincial jail because they were accused of killing the late Pablo Sola of Cabangcalan City. But it was not true, no? So because of the pressure of world media, they were released, no? And until now, si Father Gore, who was one of the priests, is still living here in Negros, and he now engaged in helping the community doing hablon, no? Hablon making.
Yes. So we would also like to ask. We will have the questions for Rudy first.
Yeah.
So we would like to ask you about Chatrocon. So and the stories that it tells. So you are the founder, right, of Chatrocon, and in Negros and in Western Visayas. And what stories does it tell to the people of Negros and Western Visayas?
Oo.
So do you have a slide for this?
Yes. Yes. Teatrocon stands for Teatro and Conferencia. So it's Teatrocon, no? We started in Negros Occidental way back in 1993. Nagkaroon lang kami ng conference among theater people in Negros. And that was the start, no? And in 1999, Gardy Labad, who was then the chairman of the Committee on Dramatic Arts of 𝗏𝗔𝐶𝑎, encouraged us to come up with a festival. We call it Teatrocon in Festival in Negros. And from there on, we were able to organize a Teatrocon West Visayas Theatre. Ito ang mga naging mga members natin, no, na nakikita natin sa screen. Next slide, please. It's composed of the University of San Agustin Little Theater in Iloilo. The artistic director is Eric de Venagracia. Mascora Theater Insam of the University of St. LaSalle, founded by Peque Galiaga in the 70s with Tania Lopez as the current artistic director. And this is based in Bacolod, no? And the next group is, next slide please, Canlaon Theater Guild. I used to be the artistic director way back in 1990 up to 2015, and is now under Rick Salanap, who is currently the member of the Committee on Dramatic Arts. Is based in Colegio San Agustin, Bacolod. Another group is the Performance Laboratory based at the Negros Museum. This is composed of semi-professional ito. This is composed of alumni of the Mascara Theater Insam and other professional group, mga professionals. Usually kasi mga pag-graduate sa teatro, wala nang magagawa. So what can they do? So nag-organize among themselves to come up with Performance Laboratory. And then we also have Binhi Creatives. This is a visual and performance group based in one of the most depressed siguro na barangay in Bacolod, Barangay Banago, pero they were able to prove to them sa community na merong art, merong talent sa kahit isang what we call poor community. And then next group would be 𝗥𝘂𝗃𝗃 Mahanon, based in Capiz, no? This is under the artistic direction of 𝗟𝗂𝗁, who is currently the tourism officer of the province of Capiz, no? This is one sample of their play, Damgo, which is an adaptation of the Midsummer Night's Dream of William Shakespeare. And this is a collaboration of the theater groups from of the Western Visayas. And this production was directed by 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗏𝗏, no? And next group is Teatro Linganay. These are the seminarians of the Sacred Heart Seminary. So ito mga magiging mga pare, no? So na-organize din sila. And the next group is Kalingaw Teatro Hiligaynon. As of now, wala na ang grupong ito. This is the group founded by the late Joel Alborario in West Negros University, no? Pero nag-sprout din ang maraming mga theater group from out of this sa iba't ibang mga towns and cities where mga former members were able to organize themselves. No? They came up with their own group, no? And next slide, please. Ang Teatro San Antonio is yes, in Antique, no? This was under the direction of Alex de los Santos. It's based on San Antonio College, no, in San Antique. So ito mga groups namin. And what were we showing? So many things. We tackled environmental protection, we tackled youth concerns, we tackled mental health, so many mga current issues that are pwedeng sinulat talaga ng mga members namin. So this is TeatroCon. Yung ibang slide na, yes.
So that means that TeatroCon is a group of different. It is like a group of many theater groups. So
yes,
yes, and then we would like to ask you, like, so these are the theater groups that TeatroCon has organized. So what is the objective of this? Were these under were there efforts to train the young people? So why is there a need to train the young people in theater arts? So what were the important undertakings in this?
When we organized this, we came up with 4 core programs. No, one is Pandayan. Pandayan is a workshop component. So usually from 1991 to mga 17 years, no, at the University of St. Lasal, Pecky Galiaga and Dr. 𝗟𝗂𝗁 organized the annual Negros Summer Workshops, and they were able to come up with several scholarships. So yung mga members ng different provinces came to Bacolod. We even have one group from Zamboanga na nag-train, no? And eventually, since Tanya Lopez is based at the Negros Museum as executive director, we also naging venue din ang Negros Museum for our Pandayan. So we invited so many theater luminaries to conduct so many aspects in theater making, from production design to script writing to acting and so on. That's one, no, Pandayan. We also came up with Kampo Kabataan. This is a 3-day, usually 3 to 5 days, theater advocacy camp. Kasi laman yung mga young people, they would like to go to the mountains or to kung saan-saan and come up with a camp, no? So yun, for the Kampo Kabataan, we usually go to a community for immersion, and then from that immersion, they will be able to come up with their original production. So ito ang what we call the Kampo Kabataan, and lumibot din ito sa iba't ibang provinces, no? This was hosted by Antique, Capiz, and so on. And the third aspect is, of course, kailangan may festival talaga para ma-showcase. So we started with Dayag TeatroCon. Dayag means color, the color of TeatroCon, and that was our major festival when we started in 2003. And we were so happy because after that, Chris Millado invited us to CCP to showcase our production, no, in October of 2003. So we came up with the West Visayas Theater Festival. And from there, after Typhoon Yolanda, nag-iba ang title namin. We came up with 𝗂𝗲𝗃. 𝗂𝗲𝗃 means a line, no? Until now, we still have our 𝗂𝗲𝗃, and we were happy because after 𝗂𝗲𝗃, ang bawat provinces were able to come up with their own festival then. So we already have the Iloilo Theater Festival managed by Eric Divina Gracia, and in Capiz, si Al Tesoro has so many festivals, hindi lang nakafocus sa teatro, but also dances of Capiz, because Capiz has a lot of folk dances. And of course, ang isa pang gusto naming matapos, ito pang tatapusin namin, the fourth component is 𝗂𝗏𝗃, which is theater documentation. So we hope that yung mga ginawa na namin will be able to document this and come up with a book. If not, maging part ito ng curriculum ng sinaplano ni 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏 and the Committee on Dramatic Arts to come up with a theater institute, no? Ang target is in Bohol, na hopefully ma-realize ito, and then ito through the theater, the 𝗂𝗏𝗃 namin, we will be able to share our experience, no, our rich experience in West Visayas. And in fact, ang NCCA Dramatic Arts have nakakame up na with a theater portal, no, initiated by 𝗪𝒂𝒃 Quesada, PAM, and sila Gardi, na slowly ma-preserve na itong mga records natin sa teatro.
Daghang salamat, Cherdy, for telling us the stories being told also by the Negros Theater. We would be asking you more questions in a while, but before that, we would like to show you this performance by the Badian National High School. So they have this performance of Gugma Taliwala sa Pandemya. It's love amidst the pandemic. So just excerpts from their presentation. So from Entablado Performing Arts of Badian National High School. So we would like to watch this.
Sayang ka ba ang buhay niya? Ikaw yung hapon mo na. Sumabawa na ko pagkakita. Hanggang nga umaabot siya.
Namahas ka, umuwi pagdasta. Pupunta ikaw ang galing tag-idlas. Nagaling sa tibas, hanap ipalig kang kay alas, kay kung samay ang tinipalay, ganong ikaw hanap at tahay, kung sakaling lang ng inahay, papating tinuod na ugianan.
Kahit tinuod mo man lang punta, akong babae-bahiwan na kay mahalo kong kalibanan, isundahan yung masakitan.
Kung mabadi ay nagtanawan, kanang mahulog nga daw iilaktan.
Pero ikali na kapungan, ipabuhangin ko na ang tanan. Kay matagpagiging ko, sino ang pupunod? Matagsunod ko, di mo pinilo. Kung di ka na ko manawan, wa'y lamig yun ang tanang sunan.
Hulaan man sa taong lubat-lubatan, may pagudagan na nakadaan. Ayaw nga kong pasangin, isipin
salamat. So that was just an excerpt of that balitaw. It is a balitaw, right? The form is balitaw. It is an exchange between a man, a boy, and a girl, and it is their courtship. It's a courtship dance, or it's a courtship song, or a balitaw is a song, right? Like usually it's impromptu in the past, so it's like a debate between a man and a woman through song. So we've seen them, it's very creative, but they have face shields and face masks while doing the traditional balitaw. So of course, right now, someone says that rap, or like the one you have seen, the 𝗂𝗏𝗄𝗃, like a song and a rap by a man, by a girl and a boy. The first part during our countdown, the 𝗂𝗏𝗄𝗃 of 𝒃𝒔 𝗪𝗏𝗪 that won the Cebu Pop Music Festival. It was also like balitaw, but a modern version. The rap was being done by the guy, by Acer, and the singing part was done by DJ. So, and there's also a very popular song which is also balitaw. Pasayawa Kuday. Pasayawa Kuday, sayaw lang sa uban. I would like to dance with you, just, and then the girl would say, just dance with someone else. So that's the Pasayawa Kuday. It's also balitaw. So the one of the members of the Badyan National High School Performing Arts would be giving her message to our discussion, or her reaction to our discussion today in a few minutes during the. So get ready to our performers. So we have already the names of our performers, our actors who are joining the impromptu acting contest. So while you are preparing, we would like to ask Rudy this question. So do we have Rudy? So we would like to ask Rudy, how can theater be, how can it reach out to the millennials and the Generation Z, the Gen Z, who are most exposed to social media, and how can theater or cultural work be used to combat disinformation? How can it promote clarification on history, and to make how can cultural work be used to combat disinformation, and how can it promote awareness on history about our past, and how can theater reach out to the young people?
For me, we should also use the same platform, social media, to combat this, no? But it's not that limited to social media, of course. We need to also tap the form that are being used by the young people, no? TikTok, and so on. I'll give I am currently the director of our Cagayan dance troupe, no, based in San Agustin. And lately, we came up with a play based on, it was written way back in 1983. We updated this, and we have young people delivering their lines, but dancing the TikTok form. So parang, when we initiated this, and tiningnan ko ang reaction ng mga young people, they were so amused na parang naaliw sila, and now listening to the message of the play, but since nakikita nila sumasayaw, nag-iba yung pananaw nila, no? And from there, we were able to discuss about the current realities natin, no? And that's one aspect. Siguro din, in the past 2 years during the pandemic, since walang live theater, we were compelled to come up with virtual presentations. Ang isang grupo dito sa amin na very innovative, ang USA, no, ang University of San Agustin Little Theater in Iloilo. In fact, I think today then they come up with a comics book na kasi may appeal din yung comics book, pero in may mga narrators, so very engaging. So yun ang siguro ang isa pwede natin gamitin. And how do we discuss may isang director din sa amin dito last Holy Week, ginamit niya yung isang play na was written during the martial law. It's entitled Ang Kamatuoran, which is the truth, no, in Hiligaynon, Ang Kamatuoran. But when it was staged way back in 1980, traditional pa talaga, no, biblical costume. But he adapted that into a very modern setting. So nagulat din yung mga actors, and based on my experience then, after the play, I was really amused because yung ibang mga actors ng mga Facebook friends ko rin, they start posting sa kanilang mga wall yung mga lines ng play. So parang in a way, na-absorb na nila yung what's the content of the play, no? And sharing that to the rest of the group. So yun ang isang mga pwedeng gamitin natin. Based on my experience, no? I don't know, siguro marami pa. Ako, I'm 66 years old, pero I'm really trying to learn, no? Yung mga social media account, ang mga gadgets ng mga bata natin para din in a way ma-update tayo. And so siguro yung isang pwedeng gamitin din nating for us mga senior theater people na mag-connect sa mga young people natin.
Thank you very much, Rudy, for the insights regarding that. So there is a question from our Facebook audience. Jose Vinaraw, is theater part of the curriculum of the higher educational? You cannot. This is for Cebu. So thank you very much, Rudy.
Yeah.
We would be asking you for your closing message in a while after this impromptu acting contest. Please also give us your comments for this acting contest in a while. So we will be, there is a question. Can we have Nene Pasilan, if she can answer this? So so this question is, or maybe you can also answer this, Rudy, for Negros. Is theater part of the curriculum of the higher educational institution?
Murag ang UC nag-offer na karon ang UC ug kanang na ang theater college no diri sa Cebu City ang UC maoy first gyud nga nag-offer na og kurso major in theater. So I hope natubag tong pangutana. Yes naa, pero ang UC pa karon ang nag-offer ana. Nag-start, karon lang nga year nag-start.
Yes, we are not able to show Nene Pasilan, so because of our technical problem. So as UC is now with Rudy Aviles, also a theater veteran, is offering it as a course, performing arts in UC. You would see that in their wall. So daghang salamat for that question, Jose. So now we would like to have I have the names of the performers. So we have our performers. So we would like to so okay na si Rudy. So we would call you again, Rudy, later. So how many are the performers? All male ni tanan. So we have five contestants. So please get the first. We have it's 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏. The pairing is by 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏. So the performer number 1 would be performer number 1 is 𝗤𝗏𝗀𝗏 Ulayon with Franz. Is my audio okay? Lagi ko. Is my audio okay sa online? So anyway, so we have the performer number one. So the one who would perform. So performer number one is 𝗪𝗪𝗪. And contestant number two is Francis Matahom. But they would be performing one situation. So please be kanang. So number one is, so can we take down notes so that we would not. So number one is 𝗪𝗪𝗪. So does he have a number when he would perform? And then number two is Francis Matahom. So performer, the one who would do situation number two, it's Francis Valenzuela. Your number is 3. Do we have a number for them? Can we have a number for them when they would perform? Wala. So can we show them so that the judge, so where is Francis Matahom? So Francis Matahom with jacket. So where is 𝗪𝗪𝗪 is number one, so the one there. So 𝗪𝗪𝗪. So number 3 is Francis with number 3 is Francis with heart. Where is heart? Heart Alquizola. Then the last one would be number 5. It's Jom Nino. So you're only one. So yes, so number na lang. So number 1. So we would like to have first, so our impromptu acting contest, our judge is Nini Paselan. So she is also a consultant and a teacher at the Mandawi City School, Mandawi School for the Arts. And also for 40 years, she is a theater, she is a director and in theater. And if you would ask those in theater, who would they recommend to talk about theater in Cebu? They would always refer to Nene Pasilan. She is a luminary in theater arts. So in Cebu. So may we have already in front number 1. Number 1 is 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪. So number 1, please go there with 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 with number 2. Francis. So we have number 1 and number 2. I would be telling you your what you would portray, and then you would be discussing among yourselves how you would do this. So you will be provided with a mic, both of you. So I would first tell you your situation, and then we listen to this. We would watch this video of a film of the Teatro Hongkera. I mean the From Hongkera with Love. So this is your situation. So performer number 1 would be a grade school student struggling and complaining against the modules to his teacher. And the performer number 2 is the teacher in the online class reacting to the complaints of the students. So number 2 number 2 is Francis Matahom. So number 2 is there, the student, and you are the student, and the teacher is number 2. The teacher is number 2. So you would discuss first. While you are preparing for your performance, we would show you this award-winning video. A short film by students of Asian College of Technology that won an award as the best short film in a competition. So do we also have with us the director who would give a message? So that's So we would like to show you the video as an excerpt, only a few minutes of the video from 𝗤𝗂𝗃 with love, the Inocencio 𝗤𝗂𝗃 story. So let's watch this.
Ganibot ko munaw-naong karon ngang mga karag niadtong managtratong gahikog sa pangpang kay naumot o galutaw lang gihapon sa wanang.
Sa kabila ng paghanap ko ng pag-asa, ay may mga tao palang ako ang naging pag-asa. Nasa dugo ko lang pala ang di makasariling kabayanihan ng Gobernador 𝗤𝗂𝗃. Gaya niya, hindi mo kailangan ipilit na tanggapin ka ng lahat ng tao para maging magiting. Ang mahalaga, may matutulungan ka. Kaya hanggat may isa, magpatuloy ka.
A round of applause for that film, award-winning film. So now we would like to have the short message from the director. Are you the director of that film, of that short film? He is a freshman student of active taking arts and Asian College of Technology, taking arts and design course, an aspiring artist. Please help me welcome the very talented 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗲𝗄𝗃.
All right, so first of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to Palm Grass Hotel for inviting me here and having me as their guest. It is such a great honor to be here and to have this opportunity to be able to share and walk you down memory lane and remind everyone about the legacy of our beloved General Inocencio 𝗤𝗂𝗃 has left for the arts and culture of the Cebuanos. Hi, I am Nathan Lailhangad, the young theater student in the film and also the director of From 𝗤𝗂𝗃 with Love. Good afternoon. We heard many stories about people fighting for the country as embedded in the footprints of our history. But what we don't hear more often are histories about people fighting for the arts and the freedom to express it. As shown by our national hero Jose Rizal, who used arts in the field of literature to oppose against the Spaniards and awaken the spirit of nationalism. The arts have always played a huge part in attaining the freedom and liberty of our country. He used arts to save arts. This part of history must be told more often to show the impact of the arts as an agent of self-expression and a more peaceful alternative to bolos and bullets. Our hero Inocencio 𝗤𝗃𝗃 merely used theatrical arts as a tool to not just address political concerns, but also to represent the renaissance of Cebuano culture. Teatro 𝗤𝗃𝗃 was the first entertainment house in the city. If 𝗤𝗃𝗃 had given up back then there'd be no other way the Cebuanos would fight against oppression other than violence. And there'd be no place that caters Filipinos' talents, such as the great Cebuano playwright Vicente Soto, who gave voice to the victims of church oppression in 1902. 𝗤𝗂𝗃's theater had been a refuge for the arts and freedom. Our short film is a metaphor of 𝗤𝗂𝗃's feat in the pursuit of Cebu's greater good. The modern day setting of the film aims to show how his works can make an impact on the modern world and most importantly to the youth. Local heroes who fight for the arts and using art deserves a wide recognition because after all, arts is the highest form of hope. Thank you.
Daghang salamat to Kyle. Thank you very much for your very beautiful message. We're really so proud of these young people who are creative and articulate about love of country and developing the arts. So we're so proud of Kyle. Congratulations for winning that award. So we really hope to work with you also in the future. So thank you very much, Kyle. So Are you also joining the contest? No. So now we would like to before our performer would perform. So how many minutes would they have? 2 or 3 minutes? 3 minutes. Maximum of 3 minutes for their performance. So we would now like to give what the group number 2 would perform. So performer number 3, Francis Dwayne Branzuela, would be someone who is frustrated with the results of the national and local elections. So, and performer number 4, that's, is this Heart? Heart, you are happy with the results of the election. So, the two of you, so you would be frustrated with the results. She would be a kakamping, and the other one would be BBM supporter. Or if you can have it locally, you can also do that. But if you choose to have the national elections, so you would be, so Francis would be kakamping, and Heart number 4 would be a BBM supporter. So you would do your performance after the performance of our contestants, performers number 1 and 2. So we have performer number 1, and performer number 2. So the performer number 1 is a student who is frustrated with the modules of the online class, complaining to his teacher, and for performer number 2 is the teacher reacting or responding to the complaints of the student. So lights, camera, action. Wala ka mic test di ay. Ang pikas.
Hello, mic test.
Naa? Pikas? Wala pa.
Hello, mic test.
Okay na.
Hello.
Ang
Pag-hinay
pikas.
ako Alright.
Sige. Lights, again. Take 2 na ni. Lights, camera, action.
Mayong adlaw dong. Og problema ko sa mga grado kay murag kagbungo na kayo ka. Karon, ang principal giing na nagayud mi sa mandatory nga hinaot makapasa mo sa module. Karon aduna ni say bago nga module. Usa naka art subject. O ginaot karong maabot nga Lunes makapasa na gid ka.
Sir, hapit mong gani miway kaon. Ang pagbuhat pa ba aning module? Ako, sir, bisan sa kalisod sa among kinabuhi, naning kamot ko. Apan, wa na ko'y igong kusog sa pagpadayon sa akong pagkaton. Tungod kay naglibog ko unsa unang buhaton, unahon ba na ako ng pag-eskwela, o tungod sa padayong paghulga sa pandemya, naglibog mi asa mi manghitag kaon. Ako, sir, mityabaw na gid ko sa imong atubangan tungod kay maglisod na jud kog padayon sa akong pag-eskwela.
Gusto na. Ikaduha na gyud na nimong drama.
Pero sala ko ba di ay ang kahimtang sa among kakabus? Nga basin ug bisan pa man sa among kalisod maglisod na kog padayon sa akong pagtungha tungod kay hapit wa na mi kaon. Sir, pasaylo ako. Dili ko na hapit mapadayon ang ako ang pagtungha. Apan tungod ni ining malisod ug di na hapit na ako maantos nga kasakit sa akong pagkaton nunot ni ining pandemya. Wa na ko kahibaw. Makapadayon ba ko, sir, sa akong pagkaton? Ining mga module nga why discuss ang maestra. Makasabot ba kaya ako ni ini? Hain ang hustisya, sir.
Gitagaan ba ninyo ang importansya sa mga maestra? Na aduna po trabaho. Ang trabaho na mo ang ipasaka mo sa kalisod. Ug kani kung dili ka mangitag paagi sa paghawas sa imong kung asa ka karon, unsa man lang ang imong maabtan pohon. Ang una ra ang problema. Mao ang atong punta. Tabangan sa buong hinaot tabangan mo pag. Karon ang pandemya naghatag kini na solution. O karon aduna kinatag nga bagong modyo. Bag-o kining kaagi nga imong atubangon. Hinaot imo ra gayud ning masugakon. Sa pinaagi sa paningkamot, pinaagi sa pagkabot sa mong pangadoy, nganong naamang kaani, nganong mubuhat ng kaani.
Apan mabaso ka ba di ay ang among kahimtang nga tungod ni ining taong pandemya, mas gilumsan kami sa daghang mga kapakyasan o ilabi na gyud sa nunot ni ining dakong kapobre nga among gisagubang karon, naglisod na mi pagpadayon sa among mga pangandoy o ilabi na gyud nga mas gipalisod pa ni ining pandemya ang pagkabot sa mas dekalidad nga edukasyon kanamong tanan. Sir, pasaylo ako.
Dong, gipasaylo ka. Apan wala gayon nga dili ka pwede mamahimong padayon sa imong pag-eskwela. Okay, nituo ka nga ang kalisod ang dili paagi. Aron dili mahitabo ang imong mga pangandoy.
Apan ang saon man namo sir, ang among kahimtang karon, mabasol ko ba ang among kahimtang nga tungod sa pandemya maglisod ni hapit sa pagpadayon sa pagkabot sa among pangandoy? Unsaon man namo pagkabot sa maayong ugma kung maglisod mi pagsugakod sa pagkakaron? Nasayod ka ba nga sa imong kahimtang isip adunay pribilehiyo sa pagkabot sa imong mga gustong makuha karon nga anaa ka na ikaw nga isip usa ka magtutudlo, dili ka ba makasabot ka namo nga naglisod pa sa pagsugakod sa matag adlaw nga tanan isip ako isip imong tinun-an?
Time's up.
Salamat, sir.
Daghang salamat to performer number 1. So, the performer number 1 is telling his teacher that they are so poor and they cannot cope with the demands of the online class, and the teacher said that he should work for his future and he should fulfill his requirements. So that's what the performers said in their skit. And also our performer number 3 is frustrated with the results of the elections, 𝗥𝗂𝗃𝗄𝗯. And we have also performer number 4, happy with the results of the elections. This is Heart, and he is BBM. So before they would perform, we would like to give the situation for number 5. Number 5 performer, and number 5 performer is this Diom ninyo manayon. So this is you can choose between the two, either a warrior in the Battle of Mactan or a katipunero in the Battle of 𝗪𝗓𝗪. Katipunero na lang in the Battle of 𝗪𝗓𝗪. You are a katipunero in the battle, ay sa manggugubot in the Battle of 𝗪𝗓𝗪. You would be like 𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗏 or any warrior in the Battle of 𝗪𝗓𝗪 fighting against the Spaniards. So that's your situation. It would be you're the only one. So so we now have, do we still have, so later we would listen to the message of 𝗟𝗂. Is it 𝗟𝗂? 𝗟𝗂 so that's later. So now we would like to have the performance of contestant number 3 and contestant number 4. And lights, camera, action.
Sayang nga sa among kuan presidente unsa ka ano kung nidaog si BBM unsay mahitabo sa Pilipinas. Grabe among hope sa kang Lenny karon nidaog na siya.
Yes, sa wakas. Ay, huy, ano man ka? Nag-all ka kay napildi mo hang kuan presidente?
Klaro man.
Ikaw nag-all ako grabe jud ako kalipay karong puntuha kay daog na jud mo ang presidente. Bagong Pilipinas, bagong mukha. No, di ba? Hindi to kay nagud. Ayun kagool diha.
Unsan ka kung bagong Pilipinas pero ang naong mao gihapon?
Ana ug mao na imong pagtan-aw kaming mga pobre kay grabe jud namo kalipay karon kay si ang nailisa na ang kanang bagong presidente ba mabalik na to si kuan ang mga Marcoses nya kaming mga pobre kay ganahan mi nga ang bugas kay mubarato na gani nya ang apelyido ni Marcos kay usa gani malimpyo na ba kay katong mga butbut gani sa una no nya mo na ganahan kay may karon lipay kay ko nga sa wakas, BBM na gyud. BBM, bagong mukha, bagong Pilipinas na gyud. Unsa man?
Kusaon kaha?
Unsa?
Panganitan.
Oh.
Mao gihapon ang kaso.
Unsa man ang kaso ha?
Mga tax evasion sa inyong presidente.
Dili na ta magtabian ang kaso-kaso kay ang atong kuanon karon kay kuan man ang resulta na ba kay magkaso-kaso ta nya gihapon ang panglantaw sa mga tao kay lahi man mas gihatagan mo sila mas daghan gito sa buto ba 31 million versus 15 million lang tang Lenny so ang mga tao nagtan-aw jud nga si Bongbong jud ang angay nga madaog sa atuang kuan siya ang mas angay sa pwesto diha nga presidente so man karon ug mangutana ka sa akong gibati grabe jud ako kalipay karon dili na nako di na jud ako ma-explain nga sa wakas si BBM daog na gyud di ba Pung pagay ni Tony Gonzaga nga kuan katong wala pa ba sasalubungin natin ang bagong pangulo ng Pilipinas BBM di ba nindot kay paminaw BBM bagong Pilipinas bagong mukha BBM di ba kanindot ana ikaw be
maski kung 15 million ang mga giboto ni Lenny basta padayon jud mi among gibuhat na walay away na walay mo sa mahitabo na bati basta prove us wrong na kuan na
sakto jud na imo ha wala man kami sad kaming mga BBM supporters wala man po minangita og away ang amuha kay kahilom ra man gyud among gipangita mo nang nakadaog ang among presidente kay para sa mga tao si Bongbong jud ang angayan nga mulingkod diha sa pwesto nga pagka-presidente di ba so happy ra gyud ta diri og ikaw mag-uol ka makasabot ko sa imuha kay di ba pud lalim nga ang imuhang gibutuhan pilde nya ako pong gibutuhan karon kay daog man so mara to
salamat
time's up congratulations to the performers for that fun performance and now we would like to have our third performer do we have we'll have the message from Jera after this or do we have it before after so we have from where are you ikaw Heart from what school are you Cebu Normal University and how about si asa na to si kuan yes Francis is also from Cebu Normal are you already college students your courses are art and design no or literature drama education. And also we have Diom. From what school are you, Diom? From Cordoba. So you just came from Cordoba. Yes. So Diom is from Cordoba Public College. So Diom will be performing a Katipunero in the Battle of 3 de Abril. May we have him? May we have you on the stage? So our number 5 performer is Diom. And then of course you would be the one who would win. The very talented performer would win an overnight stay at a room for hero with a hilot sa tiil. Napagay free foot massage, an overnight stay at one of our rooms for heroes at Pamgras de Cebu Heritage Hotel. Stay tuned for the trivia quiz. Everyone would stay tuned also for the prizes of the trivia quiz. So now we have, may we have the camera for Diom? So Diom would portray a Katipunero in the Battle of 3 de Abril. Lights, camera, action.
Luya na ako. Ug wala na ako ikusog. Apan dili. Ako si Leon Tequila. Ug dili pa awit na ng tanan. Ako usa ka Pinoy. Ug di ni mahimo nga. Ilat ang gitawag-tawag diri sa atong lugar mismo. Sa magbuhat ako. Magbuhat ako mga pamagi. Aron masupil kini ang ilang mga pati nga binuhatan. Daghan sila mga gipaglugos. Daghan sila gipungpati. Kini mahimo. I will die for this country. No matter what. Andam na ako isuga lang ako kakalikot. Usa, ganaon na ako kung saan mo. Lupigon kayo kami sa armas. Lord. Lord, labangan mo, Lord. Lord, labangan mo ako nga makanaon na ako saan ni pagsupil ko nga yung mga kasila. Sinimayo. Sakto, adunay mga kawayan dito. Ako silang pagtabagan. Mga lagad, adto ta. Atong imuon og armas sa mga bambo diri. Tara. Para sa atong nasud. Andam tang magpapatay. Tara. O ganian na sila. Ang yawa mo! I will die for this country, you bastard!
Daghang salamat to Diom for that performance from Cordova Public College. His depiction of a Katipunero in the Battle of Tres de Abril. Daghang salamat to all our talented and creative performers. So now, get ready, everyone, on site. You would be, kisa ba yung mga nakadaog na ano yung mga disqualified na di na mo disqualified na ni si Francis disqualified na ni si Bernsuela Chris si Francis Bernsuela disqualified na ni kasi kina ni kadaog. Yes, Hall of Famer nga ni sila sa trivia quiz sa Pamgras. Kini si Koan how about Raul? Is Raul also Koan? He's also a winner. Oh, so we have here Hall of Famers of Pamgras Trivia Quiz who are disqualified today for this on-site trivia quiz because we will give chance to those who have not yet answered any question. So for those on-site, the first question is for you. The second question is for the online audience. And the third question is for everyone, both online and on-site, but you would all answer through the comment section. Do you have internet right now for those on-site? For the third question. So the one who would answer the first and who would be able to win the first question would not be able to answer the third question. So the first question is this, and then the one who would win this would win an 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗄𝗆 t-shirt. It's a bagong 𝗟𝗂𝗁𝗃𝗄𝗆 t-shirt, a free t-shirt for if you would know the answer to this question. is this a very hard question? So you should have listened to the question, to the discussion presentations of our panelists for you to be able to to answer this question. So the question number 1. So those who would want to answer here on site, you raise your hand and then you go. Si Gracias, that ko alam ni not qualified din nagdaog na ka. So and also si Koan, the World War II veteran descendant, si Hall of Famer na sila sa 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 on-site kanang trivia quiz. You can answer through online na lang for fun na lang ba if you know the answer. So the question is this: in the Spanish colonial period, what do you call a one act to 5-act play with songs and dances written in prose with themes on romantic love? And then this was still performed even in American period. So what do you call this type of play? This 1 to 5-act play. Mga wala yung maka-answer ani. Tanaw na to online, og nay mo answer. In the Spanish period, what do you call a play, a one-act play to 5-act play with songs and dances and written in prose with themes on romantic love? So we have Diom. Sige, you go to the microphone to answer the question. So let's try if Diom listened. Congratulations! You win a free t-shirt, a bagong 𝗟𝗂𝗃𝗲 𝗪𝗂𝗃 t-shirt. Congratulations. Now we have those online. We have only a few people left online. So let's see if they would be able to answer this question. If someone online who is not here on site would be able to answer this question. So the prize for this is a free foot massage with, of course, with a detoxifying foot soak of ginger and sea salt. So we have this question on for those online. Murag walay mo answer ani, gamay na lang kay tao na bilin online. So who built the first theater in Cebu? Who led the building of the first theater in Cebu? So that was discussed in the it was discussed. That was discussed. Unfortunately, the ones here cannot answer because you had the chance the first question and you will have the chance the third question. So no one is answering online. Is there someone answering online? So who built the first theater of Cebu? It was mentioned in the film. So kung walay mo answer online, on-site na lang ta. Unsa ba ni? On-site na lang ni. So who built the first theater in Cebu? So dari na lang, ako disqualified na ka, Pyro, new Hall of Famer na ka. So who built ang mga Hall of Famer, di na ka-answer, sorry. Mga bright man kay mo in the past. So no one is answering online. Naa? So kinsa may niyan nakatubag? I can't see the answers. Ken Xiaoyun. So Ken, congratulations Ken for answering. Nay nag-coach ni mo no. So Ken, congratulations Ken for getting the correct answer. So you win a free hilot sa tiil of Alima native massage. So this comes with a detoxifying foot soak of sea salt and ginger, and of course the massage from our therapist of Alima, of our babaylan. You will have, there is also an orasyon, a healing prayer before the massage starts. And of course we also have in our Alima native massage a hulum kawa or kawa bath. Our third question, and this is for everyone online and on site. You will be able to, if you are able to answer this, you will win a 5-hour stay at our Rooms for Hero, a soak and chill. So for 5 hours. So the one who would get the biggest prize is the one who would win the impromptu acting contest. So this one is for those online and not in Cebu. So you would win this and a 5-hour stay and then you can also dip at our saltwater dipping pool at Jardín Dagami. The Jardín Dagami is named in honor of our hero from Gabi, which is now Cordova, and he led the ambush against Miguel Lopez de Legazpi on May 23, 1565, a few days ago. We celebrated. So the third question is if you are able to listen to the discussion from Negros with Rudy Riveche, you would be able to answer this. So the third question with the Soak and Chill prize, what is the date of the anti-Spanish revolution in Negros? The revolt made use of theater. You answer through the comment section of this Facebook Live. So you answer through the comment section of the Facebook Live. What is the date of the anti-Spanish revolution in Negros? The revolt made use of theater elements. So do we have answers to the question? So we have mga disqualified ning naka-answer oy, mga kuan ni sila, mga Hall of Famer ni sila. So we need someone who has not yet answered any question, who has not yet won a prize. Oh, disqualified gyapon. Pulos ni disqualified, mga Hall of Famer na ni sila. These are Hall of Famer. We give chance to those who has not yet won any prize. So who appeal si Ellen also is kanang nakadaog na ni siya no in the past. So nakadaog na sad. So kinsa pa man. So pulos man ni mga kuan, pulos man ni mga nanay ni answer nga wala pa makadaog. Ala, si Piat og number. Si Laika ang correct, right? So Laika. So we have Laika Jane Rosani, November 5, 1898, a 5 de Nobyembre. So congratulations, Laika. When you come to Cebu, you will be able to avail for free of our room for hero for 5 hours, and you will also have access to our saltwater dipping pool at Jardín Dagami. So now we would like to ask our judge, Nene Pasilan, to give her observation regarding the performances and also what can she say about our event today, if she wants to say something about the history of Cebu theater and how it can be relevant to today's situation. Do we have a microphone? And also, there's a microphone in front. And also, we have the camera for Nene. We have, do I have can I have the? So we would like to listen to our judge, a veteran in theater arts in Cebu, and when you talk about Cebu theater, you should always listen to her, or all people would point to Nene. Can you pwede ka mo barog na lang kay so that ang camera is looking down?
Okay.
Like taas kayo ang camera. So may we show Nene. Sige.
Sige, sa kinatibukan ang event very meaty, no? Very productive. Daghan kaayo siya og murag akong tan-aw, sayang siya kung gamay ra ang nag-participate, no? I hope daghan ang nag-attend sa online, daghan ni witness online. Kay nindot kaayo ang mga gipang-share sa tulo nato ka panelists. Dili ba tulalim ang pag-prepare ato ga research in taon tong tulo. no? Unya, of course, with their personal experiences, unya, productive kaayo, o maundanon kaayo. Gaganina sa gishare ni kanang naang nilang tulo, of course, proud kayo ko kay I was part of it, no? Especially katong mga cultural movement diri na sa mga 80s down. Nagsugod ko sa theater movement was mga late 70s. Nagwara-wara na ko sa kadalanan. Street theater mo, ako adyong na, diha ko nabaid sa street theater. Unya, diha sad ko na expose pag-ayo o na train pag-ayo. Especially katong gi-share ni Rudy, atong panelists from Bacolod, katong iyang gi-share nga People's Theater. Kay I was doing People's Theater Forum since early 80s. Unya, kang Augusto Boal na siya based sa experience sa mga Brazilian artist, activist nga Brazilian artist. Unya mo na ito among gihimo di ay, no? Panahon sa martial law, no? Among gi express ang among kasagmuyo pinaagi sa theater. So street theater. And then ang expertise gid nako is pag-organize og mga community theater, mga dulaang katilingban. Mao ginay ako ang diha jud ko nabaid pag-ayo. Ug mo nang tungingon ni Ma'am ganina nga legendary tungod sa akong experience sa community theater, pagtukod og mga cultural organization, cultural groups. In fact, sa tibuok Visayas, gituyok-tuyok nako ang mga cultural groups kapag visit o pag as organizational development officer sa amo ang diha may alliance of cultural groups nga Visayas wide nga dunay 63 ka mga cultural groups sa lain-lain nga mga lugar. So while nag-share ang atong mga panelists kaganina, proud sad ko kayo, lipay kaayo ko. Unya, mutuningon ko nga I wish daghan na nag-attend, no? Para kay balo sila nga ingon ani di ay ang history of cultural movement or theater movement sa tibuok Visayas.
Yes. So we always hear stories about the cultural work of in the 1980s and the 1970s that theater was very instrumental in educating the people about social issues. They do it through creative ways. So right now, TikTok is the way or social media is the way. So how do you integrate theater with TikTok and social media? Rudy was saying something about that. So now, Nene, we would like to ask you about your impression or observation of the performances of our contestants of our impromptu acting contest.
Sige. Actually, nag-observe ko no sa ilang presentation. Ako kay nag-teach man ko og theater. Nga ang acting mo ako ang forte pod, no? Especially sa katong mga beginners. Unya, kung mag-act manggod ang i-observe jud nako how the performer interpret the character ug giunsa niya pagtahi-tahi ang character, no? Kanang dili bitaw kanang murag automatic nga murag kanang kuan kaayo, no? Kumbaga natural nga pag-express o pag-interpret sa character, no? Usa na siya sa importante kaayo. I was wondering lang katong sa estudyante, kung student, ako man gud nakarelate ko adto kay nag-teach man ko high school ug elementary, no? Kanang ang problema sa modules, usag din sa pirmi na kong madungog sa mga bata. Although dili man module sa akong gikuan ko kay art ang academic mo ay modules, dili man inadto manggod ang reaction sa how the student, no? How the student kanang naang interact with the teacher, no? Kay student, no? It's too adult na nag-istorya.
We will ask you again after we announce the winner. Okay? For your observation.
Okay, sige.
Okay, let's call our acting contestants, our actors, performers. Let's have contestant number 1, can you go to the stage so that we can take a photo of you for our our when we post about this? So we will call contestant number 1, the student; contestant number 2, the teacher; contestant number 3, kakamping; contestant number 4, BBM supporter; and we have contestant number 5, katipunero. So may we have you on stage so that we can call and who is the top 3? We would so we will have consolation prizes for 4 of you. And what is our consolation prize? Our consolation prize is a food for heroes meal at Palmgrass. So we have can we have them with social distancing in the middle? So number 1 is Gracias. Number 2 is Francis Matahom, is teacher. Number 3 is Kakamping Francis. Number 4, BBM Heart. And number 5 is Katipunero Jom. So we have our drum roll our I would call first consolation prize winners 4 and 5. So the 4 and 3. 4 and 3 consolation prize winners. So those who would get a consolation prize would be Kakamping 3 and BBM 4. So you have consolation prize of Food for Heroes meal. You can choose from the heroes. So we have our top 3. Can we have them in front? We have student number 1, performer number 1, performer number 2, teacher, and performer number 5, Katipunero Jom as our top 3. Dayon, our next consolation prize winner is student performer number 1. So you win a Food for Heroes meal. So we have our top 2. Our top 2 is our teacher performer number 2, and that's Francis. And we have our Katipunero performer number 5, Katipunero Jom. So, kinsa may mudaog? Walay nag-comment dire? Walay nag-comment? Walay nag-comment. So, so ang comment is magagaling all the contestants. They are all winners from Ferdi Aparticio of DepEd, Taguig, and Pateros. And we also have our from Ferdi, this is a truly fitting activity to cap the 2022 National Heritage Month Pagbati Palmgrass Hotel. So, our unsay title sa winner? Actor, our grand winner for our actor of the year. Our actor of the year is kisa inyo. The winner is from Cordova, Katipunero Jom Manayon. Congratulations! Congratulations for sharing your talent and portraying about current situation and about our history. So thank you very much to our youth. We are so proud of you for using your talent to portray about current events and also about our history. So we would like to ask again from our judge, Nene Paselan, regarding before she would give her reaction to the performers, to the performance of our contestants. We would like to invite you again to our next event on June 18. This is also a relevant topic. The topic is, so of course, June, we have Independence Day, we have and also Father's Day, and then it's for fatherland. And so Gikamang Naka. The next event is Gikamang Naka, Elections in Visayan History. So we would be having also during this time, we would be listening to a historian, and also from 𝗵𝗂𝗃𝗄𝗃 𝗟𝗏, we would be listening to a BBM endorsed politician, and also someone from the Leni Robredo People's Council. So this would be an enlightening event, an exciting event, because you would be listening to both sides, and also yes, and then also we would also be having an for June also. This is for July. And for July, we will have an oratorical speech contest. For this would be on site, and also in partnership with DepEd, and also for the topic also regarding the birthday of Leon Quilat. So we would be celebrating the 149th birthday of General Leon Quilat on July 27, but you would be having the event on July 30. So we would now like to have the reaction from you have seen that performance of the Badian National High School. We would like to listen to the message or the reaction from 𝗟𝗓 of Badian National High School. So do we have, is she around? So wala pa. So we would now have the evaluation of observation of our judge, Nene Pasilan, for our event today, or are the performances of our actors today. Do we have the camera for her?
Dili lang kay kumuhatag og kanang mga comments kay number one gyud nga dapat i-consider is the time limitation sa ilang preparation. And siguro I don't know kung kaila na ba sila daan kay mo matter man sad na ang sa preparation. Although nakita nako ganin na lang murag ako lang tong i-follow up. Di man gud ako klaro kung unsa man to kay estudyante high school siya or college or anak kay dili nako makita ang character nga usa siya kanang bata nga or high school baron no kay ang mga characters sa mga estudyante nga kung i-confront sa teacher about sa kuan dili man sila inadto ka kuan manulti nga adult na kaayo nga kanang mag-deliver sila og kuan. So usa lang to sa akong dili kay nako maklaro ang character no unya the rest naklaro man ang character although kuan lang no kanang kulang lang sa projection sa interpretation dili kayo kuan ang define on sa ilang character kulang sa interpretation sa ilang character.
Daghang salamat to our judge Nene Pasilan. Thank you very much for joining us and also giving tips to our young actors on how to act, and also to, of course, we are looking forward to the future of our young people acting on TikTok, on social issues, and also about our history, right? So on TikTok and Facebook and YouTube. So how can we integrate theater through social media? So we thank also Kyle for being with us, for sharing his talent and for showing us how to put into film something about a street and something about our history through a very creative way. Daghang salamat to Kyle, the director of From Hungkera with Love. And we thank our panelists, Rudy Riviche, the president of Chatrocon. We also thank Lucien Letaba of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts Committee on Music, and the founding director of Kasing Sining Teatro Bolanon, Lutgardo Lapad. We thank our partners, the NHCP, NQC, University of Cebu, University of Cebu Arts and Design, Lab Teatro, Badian National High School, Museo Sugbo, Bistek Pride, Central Visayas Association of Museums, Arts Cebu, and the Andy Heritage Center. See you again in our next event. Daghang salamat to all our audience on-site and online. Maayong hapon sa tanan. Maayong gabi na. Daghang salamat.